Brees, quarterback, Purdue Boilermakers.
To have been given the opportunity there when not a lot of people wanted to give me that opportunity, and really to start from scratch with building a team, building a mindset, and setting those goals that we knew we could achieve through hard work and through trust in one another. And
hey, we can't wait for this to come to us. We gotta go take it.
What can I say? We played for so much more than just ourselves. We played for our city.
I love you, bro. I love you, bro.
We played for the entire Gulf Coast region, who was behind us, every step of the way.
Hey, 60 minutes! Straight up. Woo! 60 minutes! Play fast, play aggressive, reset the tempo in here. This is our house! Our house! All I want is your best! Nothing more, nothing less! The struggle, the adversity, the excitement, emotion, energy! That's what I want to see! I want to see some swagger! I'm playing for you! I'm playing for you! Play fast, play aggressive, play confident, play poised. We talk about being warriors. Now only a warrior can withstand the path that it's taken to get to this point. The great teams start to separate themselves from the rest. Now is that time. And there's always something to prove. Trust yourself. Trust the man next to you. We got here to gonna win. We ain't leaving until we get it. Here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30, 31, 32, 33, 34, 35, 36, 37, 38, 39, 40, 41, 42, 43, 44, 45, 46, 47, 48, 49, 50, 51, 52, 53, 54, 55, 56, 57, 58, 59, 60, 61, 62, 63, 64, 65, 66, 67, 68, 69, 70, 71, 72, 73, 74, 75, 76, 77, 78, 79, 80, 81, 82, 83, 84, 85, 86, 87, 88, 89, 90, 91, 92, 93, 94, 95, 96, 97, 98, 99, 100, 101, 102, 103, 104, 105, 106, 107, 108, 109, 110, 111, 112, 113, 114, 115, 116, 117, 118, 119, 120, 121, 122, 123, 124, 125, 126,
Sports.
Brees, quarterback, Purdue Boilermakers.
To have been given the opportunity there when not a lot of people wanted to give me that opportunity, and really to start from scratch with building a team, building a mindset, and setting those goals that we knew we could achieve through hard work and through trust in one another. And
Hey, we can't wait for this to come to us. We gotta go take it.
what can I say? We played for so much more than just ourselves. We played for our city.
I love you, bro. I love you, bro.
We played for the entire Gulf Coast region.
60 minutes! Straight up! Woo! 60 minutes! Play fast, play aggressive, reset the tempo in here! This is our house! Our house! All I want is your best! Nothing more, nothing less! The struggle, the adversity, the excitement, emotion, energy! That's what I want to see! I want to see some swagger! I'm playing for you! I'm playing for you! Play fast, play aggressive, play confident, play poised! We talk about being warriors! Now only a warrior can withstand the path that it's taken to get to this point! The great teams start to separate themselves from the rest! Now is that time! And there's always something to prove! Trust yourself, trust the man next to you! We're not even gonna win! We ain't leaving until we get it! Here we go! 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10!
Sports.
Okay, make sure you're logged in and let me know everything sounds good so I can see you too. Put the chair right there. Okay. How's it going, guys? Let's see, make sure. Did some rearranging of the area, so everything's kind of backwards now. So now Milena sits to my right, but it goes the other direction. It's a little awkward, but. So, Drew Brees retired. I lost because I was the one that was telling everybody that he shouldn't retire because, at least, actually, that's not what I said, actually. What I really said was, I think he should work out and try to figure out what he wants to do, if he still can throw the ball, if he still got that desire to want to do it week in and week out, to go through it again, and all that, with everybody talking crap, oh, he's finished and all that junk, kind of the things that they were saying about Brady in 2019. But Drew Brees would have gone through that. He went through it this year, actually. I wasn't on that train as much because I knew that he had been injured. So you always have to wonder especially with any athlete, but especially with a quarterback late in that time frame, you have to wonder how much of that is the injury talking along with age. So I guess that's what we'll start there. But it's great to be back, guys. I'm great to see you guys again. It was a long season. It ended good on one side. It ended good on the NFC side for people who are fans of Brady. We haven't talked since that game, since the Super Bowl. So I still, as happy, as excited as I was back then. I mean, it hasn't gone away. Was a little disappointed in the Patriots finish, but we have plenty of time to talk about that tonight. We have a lot to talk about, actually, afterwards. But a lot of weird things going on in the NFL. My God, how much could change in a month, right? You take a month away to get some other things done. And I think it was good for everybody just to take a month away from the game, because we're here every week. We're all week following the games. Even as fans, we're always following it. And you need some time away from it. But the league year is back. It just started. We got a lot of movement, a lot of things going on. So Yes. Oh, thank you. Yeah, it's Drew Brees night, so I had to dress in gold with the little mini cross and all that. So why not, right? Oh, look, we already have a super chat tonight. Damn. Addy Basorno, $9 super chat. Number 9, of course, for Drew Brees. He says, another legend hangs it up. It sucks seeing the old guard leaving, but the young guns are going to be real fun to watch. I agree. Truly a great will be missed. Now, Addy, the thing about it is if you've been following this show and following this channel for as long as it's been around, you'll know one thing about me, and that's I don't like endings. I don't like things being over. I turn off movies in the last 15 minutes. I give up on them. I don't watch them. Not a movie that I've never seen before, but if it's a movie I've seen before, and I watch movies over and over again quite often. And I also do that with TV shows, but I never watch the ends. I always turn them off. I hate it when I'm at a movie theater and I know it's getting to be the end of the movie, and because I know there's no more story left. There's no more. I think the build up to the end of a story, whether it's a book or a movie or TV show or whatever, the build up is the best part. That's the most intriguing part. The end is just a completion and going through the motions of everything. And so I don't like endings. I think it's sad. I think it's awkward for me. So yeah, not good with that. And I'm that way in football too. I don't like the old guard leaving. I don't want to see them go. Perhaps I don't know if it's nostalgia or not, because at the same time I don't really cling on to the past. It's kind of a weird paradox thing, but yeah, I just don't like it though. And so you guys have probably noticed that I show some favoritism, maybe not even realizing I do it sometimes, but I show favoritism to the older guys. I show favoritism to Drew and Tom and Ben, and I did with Philip. I even supported Eli at the end. I've even come around on Aaron, and I've kind of gotten behind Aaron a little bit. But I have to say with Aaron, he kind of kicked me back off that again with the way he acted this year. He went back to being the douchebag Aaron Rodgers, so for a little bit. But for the most part, I like the older guys. I remember when Brett Favre couldn't come back to the Packers, and I was just completely shocked. Couldn't believe it. But with Drew, I did not want to see him go. But I do think I was right about him saying that he needed to hit the workouts. And I said this after they had lost to Tampa Bay. So it was right then. Immediately I said, Drew needs to work out. He needs to see how he feels, what his options are. I even suggested that he look into the TB12 method. Whatever is going on over there, I don't know what the hell they're doing, but maybe Drew needs to get some of that. He also needs to see how much of that injury was affecting his body. But he did do that, and then we saw videos of him working out and stuff like that, and I think that's exactly what he was doing. I think he was testing it. I think he was seeing if he really wanted to do that and if it was there. And then obviously he decided that it's not. But I do think that's what he was doing when he was seeing those workout tapes. Because even his wife was sending out Instagram messages, I believe. I think I read it on Instagram. His wife was talking about how, he had a lot of injuries during last year. And it sounded more like she was trying to say, look, it's not over. Don't use that as a sign of old age. So I took that as a hint to mean that Drew was not completely done yet. And I don't think he had decided until right before he said so. I don't think he had his mind made up at all. So Do I think that the Saints are better for it? No, I can't say that, because I'm telling you right now, a quarterback like Drew, who's been around forever, who has seen every play, he's seen every defense, he's seen everything. There's nothing that is going to happen where he hasn't gone, oh, I know this. Okay? And just that alone, you put his ass on the field in a wheelchair, okay? Wheel him out there, have him go behind the line and call a play and say, oh, I know what's going on. That is more valuable, okay, than probably at least half of the quarterbacks in the NFL starting right now. I'm serious. It's that bad. That's what you're missing. And you combine that. This is why you see so many quarterbacks when they get older, they start really getting into the nuances and the chess part of it. Even Brett Favre did that. You guys remember Brett Favre? I think Brett Favre's best playing was at the end of his career. Remember when we were all shocked, like, what the hell? Brett Favre's not throwing picks anymore. What is he doing? Like, he's like reading defenses and he looks like a pocket passer out there all of a sudden. It was crazy, right? Because he didn't want to get lit up anymore. So he switched. He took what he had. He even said it. He said, I've got so much knowledge now. I don't need to get hit. I don't need to run like a crazy person. And that's what they do. And people are trying to write off Ben Roethlisberger. I told everyone last year, I said he was going to come back. I said he was going to be comeback player of the year. And I even had him as a dark horse for MVP. He had one of his best statistical seasons last season. He would have got comeback player of the year if it hadn't been for Alex Smith. So, but if it wasn't for Alex coming back from that crazy injury, Ben definitely would have got it because he missed all of 2019. So there's value in older guys. I didn't want to see Phillip leave. Eli was done, but Eli was never a great quarterback. He was never a week in, week out great quarterback like these guys, so Eli doesn't really count. But Peyton, I hated to see Peyton go, but even though he was a huge rival of ours, I hated to see Peyton go, but he was too hurt. Every time he threw a pass, he was in pain. So I will say I don't like how Drew went out like that. I think it would have been better that, he had been able to at least say bye to the New Orleans crowd or something. But I'm sure he'll get a chance. They'll bring him back for like a ceremony, but he won't be in uniform, of course. Yeah, there's a point, exactly, Ozymandias. There's, cool name, by the way. There's a point where you have to give it up, so, and you have to say it's over and you don't want them to get screwed up badly. But, yeah. Dude had a punctured lung last season. If anybody's ever had their lungs injured or hit or even bruised or messed with, it's horrible. But to have them punctured and to have ribs broken, do you even know what that feels like? A bruised rib will keep you down for weeks. Just a bruise. Imagine having them broken and then you've got to throw a football. Imagine going over the top every time with a broken rib, every time. It's just impossible. So hey everybody. Hey, I noticed my dad's back. Haven't seen you on here in a while, Dad. My father was on vacation. He was everywhere, it seemed like. So good to see him back. And he was in a movie recently, by the way. So I heard good things about it. So. Yep, and Tyrod Taylor had a collapsed lung, yeah. So, I have a lot to say regarding Drew, but we also have a guest tonight. And he is the biggest Saints fan I know. Okay. Now, let me tell you about this dude. I'm going to bring him on right now, and I'm going to introduce him to you if you don't know him. Chad.
Yo.
Cool, we got audio. How you doing? Okay, so Chad, I'm going to introduce you real quick. Guys, this guy, he's a moderator on my Von Allen Sports Facebook page, but he's also in our fantasy football league. That's how, well, I actually met him through the Von Allen Sports page. I don't even know how you got there, Chad. Did you get there through the Bounty Gate documentary?
No, I wanted the Steve Walsh book.
Oh, okay, cool. So, yeah, that seems to grab a lot of different kinds of fans. That's interesting. But anyway, he had mentioned about 2 years ago or something, if we were doing a fantasy football, I told him that we had a league, and I saw that he wanted to do it, so I invited him on, and then that's how we've known each other. We've never actually met in person, though. Not yet. You live in San Diego, right?
Yeah, I've been here for about 6 years.
Well,
I went to Katrina. I had a buddy that a chef friend of mine, and he'd always like come visit. Not to Katrina. I was like, well, I'm coming to visit for about a couple months, and ended up staying out here 2 years. Went back home for a while, got married, lived in Houston for 2 years, and then came back out here for 6 years after that was over.
Okay, cool. So you're one of the Katrina transplants when everybody had to get the hell out. Yeah.
Well, I helped my dad scrape out all the mud out from his house and made sure everybody was good. Just like, yeah, I cook. I don't do construction out. So.
Yeah. You're a chef, right?
We didn't lose that much. Yeah. I went to school up in New York and graduated from there and ran a few restaurants and kind of have a small little coffee shop going with a partner right now and doing all right considering. So about to open up 2 or 3 more places after this. We got a couple of eyes on things because we survived. We didn't have to close, and a lot of places closed. So we might jump on some things. So I might actually have to start working a little bit more.
Well, when we have our, we're going to have a VAS meetup in LA sometime this season. You got no excuses. You're only an hour away.
Yeah,
so
I can make it
all right.
happen.
So anyway, needless to say, I know a lot of Saints fans. I have some extended family who are big Saints fans as well. So as long with my nephew and my niece, but nobody is more diehard than this guy. And actually, it's his suggestion is why we have this show tonight at all. So I didn't even think to do it, and he said we should do a Drew Brees show, and I'm like, my God, what? Of course. So don't ask me to do one for Aaron Rodgers. I don't know. We'll see. But we'll see.
Yeah, you could do that on your show. That's why I'm part of your group, because a lonely Saints fan, I totally outnumbered by like the whole Patriots thing, and then he comes into fucking my division, and I'm still could get along with everybody. So it's like a whole respect thing. And there's a couple of people that we choose to just talk shit about, but I think at the end of the day, me and those 2 guys would just still sit and have beers. It isn't like the end of the world. I just really don't like Dallas personally, so I take it extra with a couple other people. But
right.
At the end of the day, I think we still all have beers, and it's not like I was a Jets fan coming in a group of Patriots. A totally guy who never really interacted with the Patriots or had a threat to Tom Brady, but still,
it was an NFC. Yeah,
right.
NFC AFC thing. There's not really a big thing there, but I'm a football fan in general. I didn't even grow up. I grew up a Houston Oilers fan primarily. So, but everyone knows my story. I grew up in Arkansas where we don't have a team. But after the Oilers left Houston, I thought, well, screw them. They're not even loyal to Houston, so why do I need to follow them? And I'd already liked the Patriots because they got Drew Bledsoe, and I'd liked him when he was in college. And my dad had liked the Patriots because he likes the Boston area, so I went with that. But that was in the early 90s. But anyway, I respect all players, and even if you don't like them, or if someone doesn't like a player or doesn't like a team, there's the level of heckling and having a good time and messing around, and then there's the level of you've got to put all that crap away and just talk about them as an entity. and as exactly what they've achieved. It's the same way with, like, of course I'll be able to do it with Rodgers no matter what, because I'd like to think I'm a professional. I can do that. So
seeing him on the Pat McAfee
at
least made him seem human to me. I watched that guy a lot. I don't know why. I seen like his show on the background or whatever, but he seemed to not be that bad of a dude. Aaron Rodgers, not even being a fan, but at least he's human type guy. But yeah, he probably wouldn't be the coolest guy to hang out with unless you want this level.
Actually, Aaron going on Pat McAfee, and I was able to see Aaron and more of him. I started to kind of back off on him a little bit. Like, I wasn't as aggressive against him. But I don't. So let's talk about Drew. I've always liked Drew. I want to go back in time. So in 2005, San Diego had they had gotten Phillip Rivers through the infamous Eli Manning thing a year before. So in 2004, everybody knows about the Eli Manning, Phillip Rivers, and Ben Roethlisberger draft. And the Chargers were wanting to get Eli. Eli didn't want to play for the Chargers, and everyone knows the story, of course. Eli didn't want to play for the Chargers, so they drafted him anyway, and then they traded him to the Giants. Eli goes to the Giants. Phillip Rivers is drafted by the Giants, and he goes to the Chargers. A year later, Drew Brees has got a pretty bad injury, a rotator cuff, I believe. It was he had Tommy John surgery, right? Something like that.
Yep.
Yeah, and it's a terrible surgery for anyone who throws anything. Pitchers get it a lot, shortstops get it, and quarterbacks get it. So that early in his career is a pretty bad sign, you would think. Not me. I remember so Chargers stupidly said, Phillip Rivers is our future. God, I hate hearing that, by the way. Future. No, tell me your present. What is your present? Is your present winning? Okay? I don't know. What is the future exactly? So I hate that term. But anyway, the Chargers said, Phillip Rivers is our future. We're going to let Drew Brees go. Stupid mistake. He was playing well in San Diego, by the way. Okay? I remember him. I thought him, Carson Palmer, Peyton Manning, and Tom Brady were the 4 best quarterbacks in the NFL. So in my opinion, at the time, I was watching a top 4 quarterback leave San Diego. And guess where he wanted to go, ladies and gentlemen? Miami. Drew Brees wants to sign with Miami and Nick Saban. And I was pissed off. Okay? I didn't want Drew Brees in Miami. I liked everything the way it was. It was totally fine. It was good. We're good. It's good. Like,
that would
no
have been
thanks.
a hell of a difference.
Yeah.
That was one good thing Saban did after leaving LSU. It was like, all right, you kind of screwed the city, but at least you let us end up getting Drew Brees.
So these guys in Miami, they give him a physical, and they say, no, we're going to go another way. I think they ended up with Chad Pennington, right? Eventually. I don't know if it was that year or not, but I think they went with Chad Pennington. Yeah. But they said no to Brees, and the Saints had just got a new head coach in Sean Payton. He had come from the Cowboys. He was under Bill Parcells at the time. He also coached for the Giants as well under Coughlin, I believe. Maybe it was Coughlin. Not sure. Anyway. But Drew signed with so Sean Payton said, come on over, we need you. We need a quarterback. And up until this point, guys, you have to understand that the Saints sucked. Okay? How bad were they, Chad? Like, bag on your head. Yeah. So everyone remembers they would write the ain'ts on the bag over the court. Aaron Brooks. Yeah.
He was Michael Vick's cousin or nephew.
He is Mike. Yeah, he is Michael Vick's cousin. Yeah. So
good.
Yeah.
Yeah. We had no name, like super quarterback guy. If we did have him, it was like at the end of their career, like Chris Everett. What's his head? Everett. And,
Jim Everett?
Yeah, Jim Everett. Jesus, yeah, I can't remember. Then Jeff Blake was supposed to be good. Then Aaron books were supposed to be the answer, then this, then this. I mean, dude, I remember being a kid and it was just cool for me to go to a game. And then once I started really getting interested in seeing them winning, it was like we had Montana in our division for the longest time. We had the greatest show of turf in our division. We had Michael Vick in our. Now, they ain't all excuses, but the Saints already sucked. So to have those greats in our division is like, yeah, all right, y'all always lose it. So a random little pull-out win just to give you a little hope. But yeah, it was rough being a Saints fan for a while.
Yeah, and a lot of people, a lot of the young people don't remember this, but the divisions were kind of weird. There was only 3 divisions, and the Saints and 49ers were. The Saints got the all right because not only were they bad for a long time, but they were in a crazy division like you were just talking about with the Rams and the 49ers, and so things got kind of fixed in that way. But that helped. But it was all Brees. Okay, it was the acquisition of Drew Brees and Sean Payton together. You can't have one without the other. You need a great coach. You need a great quarterback. The two go hand in hand. No matter what anyone wants to say, you've got to have both if you want to be good for a very long time. So he comes in. Katrina had happened in 2005. I remember watching it on TV. Couldn't believe it. Never seen anything like this. And they were talking about moving the Saints to Oklahoma, correct? In fact, they played in Oklahoma City.
San Antonio, too. Yep.
In San Antonio. Okay.
And Oklahoma as well. Both of those were in the running.
So how close were the Saints to leaving New Orleans?
Well, just from what you hear locally, it wasn't because that Tom Benson, that's why everybody loves him and he's a great owner and blah, blah, blah. Is that he was fighting to keep us there. And then it was more, from what I understand, the NFL saying, well, you don't have a stadium there. You got to do this. And maybe you have to have a team in the city and then you can get one back, after X amount of time. So
right.
It still would have sucked, either way.
But they spent their 2006, was it 2005 or 2006 season?
6.
On the road. Okay, 06. Yep. Then, in his first year there, all right, guys, his first year there, they go all the way to the NFC Championship game. I was going for them. They were playing the Bears in 06 in the NFC Championship game. I remember this game very well. It was rainy, cold, and miserable. And it just wasn't Saints football. The Saints play in a dome. The Bears play in gritty, crappy weather. It's just a mismatch. It wasn't a good day for them. But to go to the NFC Championship game on the first year together after so much futility in New Orleans, this was the start of something that was going to be 15 seasons in New Orleans.
Yep, and there was a lot of, I was trying to pull up the article, but something happened with when we pulled up there and all the Bears fans had all these like Katrina racial type signs and all kind of bullshit. So they kind of had some questionable type stuff. Seen it twice guy in a comment, he had a good comment, and I didn't really think about it this way. If Drew would have stayed with the Chargers, they'd probably still be in San Diego, and the Saints would be in San Antonio or somewhere else, which that would have been a strong possibility. So, yeah, Absolutely. He pretty much saved the city, the team, So, like I said, it was never just stats with him.
Well, maybe. Because here's how I look at it. The ownership in San Diego is really what failed. Phillip Rivers was a competent quarterback. They had a lot of good teams. They would have found a way to screw it up even with Drew. They seem to be able to screw up anything. But one thing that Tom Benson, now you know about him better than I do. You follow them better. Is he more like Robert Kraft? Does he kind of like take his hands off of the football stuff and not meddle with what the general manager wants to do? Or
yeah, he'll just go down there and dance after the game and stuff like that. But if he does, it's not like known or, not like Jerry Jones type level by any means.
Right.
But he used to be, when I remember growing up, he had like a whole bunch of just car dealerships everywhere you go. Tom Benson, Benson Auto, Benson this. That's all I really knew him by. Like, that guy owns the Saints. But then he sold all of them, and all you hear, because he got old and he had all kind of issues. So I think the daughter ran the team, but I still don't. And then So now his wife, who's like really young, owns the team because he took it away from the kids. They had all kind of drama and fights over inheritance, and this is like, all right, well, y'all ain't getting the team at all. And the daughter was actually part owner when we went to the Super Bowl and did good things, but there was all kind of drama. So now the wife owns it, but she still is all about New Orleans and the city, and she's still young for, Tom Benson's wife's age.
Wow. Well, I think with what the Saints have done, I think it's a combo. I think you need Sean Payton and you need Brees. You need them together. That's the secret. Now, when we talk about greatest quarterbacks of all time, we always mention the same ones, and we also mention the big four. As of the last 15 years, the big four is Aaron Rodgers, Tom Brady, Peyton Manning, and Drew Brees. That's always been the consistent group. Those four have always been always in the conversation. Now, regarding Drew, now with Tom, he missed the season, so he got injured in 2008. So that's out. That's a lost year. Peyton had a lost year in 2011. Aaron had a lost year in 2017. But people don't really think about this, but Drew had a lost year as well. When I look at Drew Brees' career and I add up his stats, I don't count the year that Sean Payton was suspended. To me, that makes me think it's the same as if maybe he got injured halfway through the season and was out, kind of like Aaron Rodgers only played 7 games for the Packers in 2017. So I see that as people count that against them. I've seen people argue, especially in our Facebook group, people have argued, look at all these 7-9, 7-9, 7-9. I'm like, well, that one right there, first of all, the suspension of Sean Payton derailed what possibly could have been a dynasty. Would you agree?
Oh, yeah. See, a lot of people say it's because Tom Benson didn't vote for Goodell to be the commissioner, and he knew that. So he always randomly tries to stick it to us. Just like we had to give up a 6th-round pick this year for our COVID violations. Meanwhile, the Raiders got theirs back, and they had most of the attention with Gruden running up and down with no mask. So, but I'll never use that as excuses. Oh, I'm a crying Saints fan, and there's all these blah, blah, blah reasons. Sometimes we just lose games. It is what it is. But sometimes there's some bullshit factors, too. So that's it, my opinion on that.
Well, a lot of you guys probably know that I did a documentary called Bountygate, and when I looked into that, I was shocked. When I first started researching it, I thought, okay, I really want to look into this, and it was also going to be a prelude to Deflategate and Spygate. So I wanted to kind of get a feel for how this works, and I did this early in Von Allen Sports, so I didn't know a lot about Bountygate other than what everyone else thought. I thought what the general story was, that they had paid players to purposely injure guys. But when I started looking into it, I was like, oh my God, this is the biggest bullshit I've ever seen. This is totally... Dude, this is like Deflategate type stuff all over. It's the same crap. It's the same thing. The scheming, the way they came up with stuff, the way they manipulated things. The guy who ratted the Saints out got a front office job in the NFL headquarters after all that shit. How in the world do you give anybody related to the Bountygate after everyone already saying that it's a conspiracy? How in the world do you hire someone like that and put them in the NFL headquarters after ratting out the Saints? Like, dude, that is totally a quid pro quo. Obviously.
Yeah, it's like how Chris Sims has a job because his dad. Anyway, that's a different subject.
But anyway, so with the loss of Sean Payton, that would have been the equivalent of Brady losing Belichick. And as Patriots fans, let's be honest, guys. All of us, if let's say in 2007, Brady and they suspend Belichick in 2007, are any of us going to count that year? Or I mean, let's say they go 7-9, 6-10. With the Saints, they went 7-9 when Sean Payton was out, right? Or was it
Yeah.
worse than that?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. I think
It was
maybe worse if it was not right.
Okay, so if the Patriots had gone with a losing record without Belichick, every single one of us would never count that year for Brady, would we? Anytime someone wants to bring up, well, Brady had a losing season in 07 when Belichick got suspended for Spygate, we'd be like, yeah, right. You know? You cannot count the Sean Payton suspension year. You can't do it. You cannot count that against Brees. That's my opinion. I mean, if you want to throw stats in there, you can, but don't throw the record.
You still got to get some of them stats. Because I think that was a year he passed Johnny Unitas. So that
but I'm not talking about the stats. I'm talking about the wins.
Right,
I'm talking about the record.
Right.
Because people always say, look at that record, and I'm like, really? Come on.
So you got to think of it this way: in the early times, from the Saints being so shit and so never used to have anything winning, to have above a 500 season was awesome. And if you go to the games, even if you don't go to the games, the French Quarter is so close that after, if you're watching the games at the bars, which you just walk into a bar and watch a game, and you see it all over the streets. So everybody downtown in the French Quarter is at the quote-unquote at the game too. So if we win, it's freaking awesome weekend. Even if we lose, it's all right. But it's still like we weren't expected to go to the Super Bowl every season at the beginning. So having a winning team and wow, look at that, we beat this guy. You never would have thought this. We did. It was I don't want to say low expectations. They were being exceeded, but we never would have thought we ever would have been in the Super Bowl. I never would have thought my grandpa would have lived to see the Saints in the Super Bowl. You know, I never would have thought that's the thing. Oh, yeah. And then he passed away a year right after, but he got to see it, which was freaking awesome.
That's fantastic.
So, you know, it's not like we ever thought we had to win every year. So even those couple of years before, this is all prior to the Super Bowl. Now, after the Super Bowl, expectations were, yeah, we need to at least be competing for it every year. And a lot of our friends who are fans are like really bad on, they shouldn't have done this. We should have been, shoulda, coulda, woulda. We had winning season. We're in the playoffs. We're not the Jets. We're not Miami. We're not the laughing stock like we used to be. So I was always put the least. It's worth buying my season tickets every year. There's Tom Brady's around. That dude's going to the Super Bowl a lot of the times. Now, yeah, it's our team's job to stop him. And just like I said this year, it may not be a big deal, and we know each other from talking. Tom Brady's a GOAT, never will deny it. But to have my team beat him twice was pretty damn cool. Not a lot of people could ever say they've done that. So does it mean at the end of the day we won the Super Bowl or blew it against Tom Brady? We should have all that, yeah. But those little wins or something, yeah. Regular season doesn't mean anything until the Super. You still got to play the regular season to get to the Super Bowl. You still have all these crazy plays that are in record books for reasons that you have to have to get to the Super Bowl. So as my personal fan take on it, Tom Brady's around, freaking Brett Favre's around, Aaron Rodgers is around. Shit, sometimes we're in the playoffs now. Wow. So now, I'm happy with Drew Brees. I loved it. He can't do more, but there's more than just football to do. Was a whole nother level of shit. He was very available to you. If you saw him, he never was like a guy that didn't have time for fans. And just, hail football, hail Drew Brees.
Yeah, exactly. And I remember 09. Well, before I mention that, I just want to say that as a Patriots fan, when we had Tom, every single year that started, I felt like it's our year to win the Super Bowl. I legitimately felt that. And I don't believe that other fans of other teams feel that way. And that having that quarterback like that makes you feel like that. As a Saints fan, did you feel that way?
A couple of years, yeah. Even last year, I thought this is it. All right, everybody's pulling for it. All right, we got a little bit of Corona bullshit, but yeah, all right. Or even a couple of years before that, dude. Not to say anything that bad, but the year that we got screwed with the Rams, I really think if it would have been Brees and Brady in the Super Bowl, we might have had an edge on y'all. I think. Or it might have been the year the Eagles went, because I think we were a better team than the Eagles. I think that game led to the Eagles. Mistake. It was, yeah, because it wasn't the championship game. So I think that year I was looking forward to play Tom Brady. We're going to win. We got a great team. All these people in the right places. This is our year
Right.
before people leave. So yeah, a couple of years I had that expectation. All right, I think this is it. But I'm never
Sure.
the type of fan that I'm gonna blow myself up that big for a huger letdown in the end. So I'm always realistic. I take it week by week. I'm a fantasy player too, So
Yeah. Chad, do you know our famous Browns fan here named Addy Visorno?
I think I've seen him in the chat a couple different times and doing
Okay.
some shares.
So he's a hardcore Browns fan, but he loves self-deprecating humor. And apparently he answered my question when I said, "Do you guys feel like you could win the Super Bowl every year?"
Oh,
And
not once.
of course he replies, "Not once. This is classic Addy. This is our year to win 5 games." But hey, you guys did make the playoffs finally. But I just have to say that's funny that Addy had to. I wasn't talking to you, Addy. I wasn't talking to you, but
Now, would you rather have
funny.
like his situation? Like now, there are seem to be okay, like slowly getting to where they should expect to get to the Super Bowl, or well, obviously like the way you had it, where all of a sudden you got somebody coming in as a rookie and going to the Super Bowl that first year, but you still have to keep up with it. Where the Browns are slowly building up, like the Saints, slowly building up to have the better and better and better years, and not getting that instant pop and having to maintain it where you kind of know my team built up that way. All right, now they're ready for it. The long haul, a couple maybe not dynasty, but just like the Chiefs, quote unquote, should have been.
Exactly.
What would you prefer? You prefer that way, the Patriot way, bam, and then having the pressure every year to have to maintain it? Well, obviously, nobody gets a choice in it, but or like let's just say, just Saints for example, build it up every year, finally having an expectation to be able to get to the Super Bowl, or should do at least an NFC Championship game. Like the Browns, maybe the next couple of years they keep on the same track. They might be Super Bowl contenders, before the year starts.
Yeah, it's the best situation I've seen them have, in this version of the Browns. So since they came back in '99, it's the best I've seen. But I was going to go back in '09. I thought, okay, so '09 was Tom had come back from injury because he missed all of '08, and I thought this is our year, and we were really going to test this out against the Saints. I believe it was Monday Night Football. It was a primetime game because I watched it at a sports bar, and I thought, okay, so Saints they're a pretty good team. They were in the NFC Championship game a few years ago. Drew Brees is a great quarterback. He's playing well. This will be a good gauge for us. They completely whipped our asses.
There was one year that Saints whipped the Tom Brady. I love it.
That was a beat down. That was, oh my God. And I was in Phoenix, Arizona that year, and at a sports bar. I was at Dan Marley's sports bar, and there were Saints fans there, and they were just going crazy. I was like, wow, this is a good team. And I thought this team is going to the Super Bowl. There is nothing stopping them, nothing. And I was surprised that they beat Peyton Manning's Colts. I mean, I thought Peyton Manning's Colts were going to win because that was the year they could have gone undefeated, probably, if they hadn't rested their starters.
It was. They chose to lose that year.
And then I watched the Saints bury the Cardinals, and that was a Cardinals team that had just come off a Super Bowl win, and they even had beaten the Packers a week before, in the highest scoring game in NFL history, I believe. But then the Saints went and they played Brett Favre's Vikings. Now that game, I thought Brett Favre and the Vikings were going to win. It's not that I didn't take the Saints seriously.
And Adrian Peterson.
I just couldn't believe how good the Vikings started playing towards the end. Like I didn't anticipate that at the time. And you go in there and let's see, was that game in Minnesota or New Orleans?
Nope, all at home.
That was in New Orleans. Okay.
I went to the Cardinals game and that game, which was ridiculous. The top 2 NFL experiences I've ever had. Didn't go to the Super Bowl, but almost. It was a little bit of money and work problem, but
okay. So
to see those 2 games was ridiculous.
yeah. So that was a crazy game. And after that, I was like, wow, that this Saints team. And I remember thinking back when they played the Patriots. I was like, yeah, that team did look like a Super Bowl team. So this makes sense. But again, I picked against them again. I picked the Colts and Peyton Manning. You can hardly blame me. Like I said, they almost went
Yeah, they
undefeated.
look
It's
good.
Peyton Manning. What the hell, right?
Right.
The Saints hadn't really proved yet that they could take it. The Colts had. So there's no reason not to pick them. And at halftime, when we got back out at halftime, I remember we had a Super Bowl party at my mother's house in Arkansas, and an onside kick comes. And
Ambush.
I remember my brother, my brother Steven, and Wes was there as well. And I go, who called that? Who called that? And I started,
I
oh,
never
you
see
gotta,
that.
who is that autograph by?
That's Thomas Morstead ambush he wrote there. He was
Oh,
one of the
nice.
cool. When I put up a post by whenever the Saints won, Sports Illustrated had this, and I used to go to a lot of practices. So they have Drew Brees there, and I got a whole bunch of the random Saints signed in their different spots on their here, Lance Moore and all that. I should have kept better care of it, but whatever, it ain't going to be worth crazy money. But he was a cool guy. I put up a post to him when he got cut. Thomas Morstead, he was one of the great punter. And he was always, you'd catch him at the store. You'd see him just on the side of the road. You'd see him at some radio event. So you talk to him all the time. And he just, if you just see him walk up to you and talk to you, he was a really cool dude.
Well, I remember yelling at the screen like, "Who called that? I want to know who called that. That was the biggest, ballsiest play I've ever seen." You don't do that against Peyton Manning like that. You don't take a risk on giving Peyton the ball at the 50 in the Super Bowl. That
It could have went real wrong.
that could have gone very, very badly if you don't recover that, and the odds are against you on that. But I was impressed by that. But I remember thinking, I said, okay, Drew Brees, he has to score. If they don't score, then that whole onside kick
Right.
is completely like it's not
For
legendary.
not.
But if they score, this thing will live in history. And I remember saying that out loud, and I was like, damn, they did it. They did it. And then from that point on, I was like, the Saints got to win this. They've got to win. They have to win this because that was too cool. It was too awesome. And
We
of course,
needed it. The city needed it. It was
they needed it.
awesome.
Yeah, Tracy Porter
It
picked off
was,
Peyton. Everyone knows about that. Drew gets the MVP. The MVP that matters more. The Super Bowl MVP matters more than the regular season MVP. Although the regular season MVP is very important as well.
yeah,
If you ask any quarterback which one they'd rather have, they'll tell you the Super Bowl every time.
of course. Of course.
So that's the one that matters. But I think the most iconic image from the Super Bowl is Drew and his son wearing the headphones. I think that's
Yeah, that's what everybody knows. My favorite is the Tracy
that's
Porter running back
that's the
and
yeah.
Peyton Manning getting pushed over.
That was a great game, by the way. That was a great Super Bowl.
Yeah, it was. I was happy with it. Number one, obviously, that we won. And it wasn't like a blowout either way, and it was like you had to watch every second of it. And then the city was so nuts. It was right before, like, Mardi Gras. So Mardi Gras is 2 weeks. 1 week, and it's like a lot of local small parades and different things. And school, you wear your thing and blah, blah, blah. And then the second week of Mardi Gras, when all the huge downtown parades and everything really starts, and that ends on a Tuesday, Mardi Gras Day.
Yeah.
And it actually starts the Sunday before that. And that was the Super Bowl to start freaking Mardi Gras. And it was just ridiculous. I'm surprised New Orleans is a really murder city and all that kind of crazy stuff. They were murder capital of the world at one point. But it was like you walk down the street and you just hug everybody. I worked in the French Quarter at that time. So it was just high fives to everybody, just random people. It's just a good lifting up the city and all. Now it was 4 or 5 years after Katrina and a lot of stuff was close to back to normal. But yep, it was a definite game changer, if you will.
Well, let me ask you the big question. Where do you rank Drew all time?
So like you said, the big four. How old are you, if you don't mind me asking?
40.
30s. Yeah, well, I just hit 44. So, yeah, like people our age, maybe not our dad's age, but like maybe our age, yes, the big four that we saw growing up. And even I saw some Montana growing up, and some Marino. But I really wasn't that hardcore of a fan as I am now. So, yeah, those four. Then if you want to really separate generations and this and that and this, there's all kind of ifs and hows. And I put this and this and that and this. I'm happy that Drew Brees is quote unquote one, not like a really good quarterback or yeah, he was great. Like one of the greatest to ever play the game. Stats or not, he still had to get to these stats and beat some of these guys to get there. So it's like I always say, the answer is this: Tom Brady with 7. You play the game to win rings.
Yeah.
But like I said before too, is everything in the regular season for naught. And sure, I'm going to always bust balls a little bit that Drew Brees has got this one record over Tom Brady because that's a hell of a thing to do anything, quote unquote, better than Tom Brady. I think that's the greatest compliment I could give. Sure, a little smart asses. Sure, Tom Brady's going to get that record back anyway. But, including the old guys, I put him top 10 wherever. If it's above 4, that might be a little much, but I could see 5-ish. I could see this, but do they have rings? Well, is Terry Bradshaw better than him? Because Terry Bradshaw obviously has a lot more rings. Troy Aikman better than him, but he has a lot more rings. But Drew Brees has a lot more stats. But then they got an MVP. And then this guy did this. And then, so, I'm happy my quarterback is one of the greatest to ever play the game. And, there it is. Top 10 all time. There you go.
So you put
I
him in
won't
top
be
10.
mad if he's 10. Yeah, I won't be mad if he's 10. If it wasn't for all the records and all that kind of stuff, sure, all right, maybe top 20. You could always put these variables in, but in a lot of them, some of those variables, he's top 5. If you say, well, if you go just by yards and stats and records, all right, maybe top 3, top 2. So, but if you say just overall, all right, no MVPs, all right, only 1 Super Bowl, all right, how many NFC championships? All right, a lot of division championships, so he wasn't as good as Rodgers. Same amount of Super Bowls to this, but Rodgers has X amount of yards, less than no records. So there's way too many things to where I'll let those people that get paid to talk about it worry about that kind of shit.
Right. Well, it's let's look at it this way. It's good that Aaron Rodgers has 3 regular season MVPs. Okay, that's big time. However, out of 3 MVPs and overall, Rodgers has probably had better teams, I think, but not the better coach. So it evens out, I think.
Right. Yeah.
Because Drew had the better coach, but they both ended up with the same amount of hardware. So even with three MVPs from Aaron Rodgers, you would think there would at least be more than 1 Super Bowl appearance. Now, I'm not saying I'm not going to lay on them at least it's just a Super Bowl victory because it's hard to win the Super Bowl. It's just ridiculously hard. But getting there is the impressive part because getting there is the grind from week 1 all the way to that point. And then the Super Bowl is just one game, and it's anybody's game. So that's why I look at appearance. Getting there is so important. And, I mean, appearances is why Jim Kelly is in the Hall of Fame, even though he lost, but he went 4 times. Do you have any idea how hard it is to go 4 straight times? So,
you got to give that credit.
Yeah, exactly.
There's Drew Brees better than him.
With all of that, Aaron never produced even a second appearance, which is shocking to me. It's very shocking.
Yeah, I agree. He should have at least lost a couple, as good as everybody says he is. He should have been there.
He should have been there. Yeah. I'm not saying he had to win them, but I'm surprised that he's not been back. But I'm also surprised the Saints haven't been back, but there are a lot of stupid crap.
Yeah.
It should have been a 2018 Super Bowl we all know should have been the Saints and Patriots.
Yep.
That would have been a different game. So
the one Rams game is the only thing. But we had a chance. We was overtime. It was not like that. The game was over right there. So we should have won overtime. We should have. The Minnesota Miracle. Yep, that was a great catch. Last second. Blah blah blah. We lost that game. The push off. We never should let it get that far. We had a great team. That was a year I thought we really should have went to the Super Bowl. That was a kind of really bad disappointment year.
What year was that?
the year after the Rams, the year
Oh, that was
Rudolph pushed
19.
off.
Kyle Rudolph.
Yeah,
Yeah, he pushed off in the
yeah,
end zone and caught
yeah.
it.
That I don't think he even did. It wasn't even that bad. He still should have caught it. Meanwhile, we should have had to be relying on that play to win the game. We should have had a better lead, or had our shit together more, basically. So yeah, we lost that game, but we should have been there the Rams year, and a couple other years that we possibly should have been there. Like you said, surprising them they didn't go is great with the great quarterback you supposedly have. It should get you a little bit more appearances, you would think.
Exactly. The 2018 Super Bowl. A lot of people I remember were talking about, because the game was so low scoring that if that was the Saints, that means that they automatically would have won. The thing about it is, it would have been a different game completely. So the game would have been high scoring from both sides. That's the game it would have been. What made that Patriots Super Bowl game so low scoring was a combination of two factors. So one, it was the Patriots offense was suffocated by Wade Phillips, the defensive coordinator for the Rams. Now, Wade Phillips has given Tom Brady problems his entire career. That guy, for some reason, just has Brady figured out, and that Patriots offense figured out for whatever reason. So that was a bad thing. And then on the other side of it, Belichick knew exactly what the Rams wanted to do on offense. He knew exactly everything that they were going to do because our backup quarterback, Brian Hoyer, had worked with some of the coaches that were on that team, and he was watching on TV the documentary about them, about the Rams, and he saw that they were using the same crap and never changed it. So Hoyer went to Belichick, said, "Listen, this is their calls. This is what they're doing." So we knew their offense the entire game. So they couldn't score either. So it was like it was just a train wreck as far as the defense goes. It's just neither would give in.
So what you're saying
Now
is you're lucky I didn't play the Saints.
let's take out the Rams and you put in the Saints. Okay, but the Saints no longer have Wade Phillips as defensive coordinator. So it's also a different defensive team. The Rams had better players. They had Aaron Donald, they had Ndamukong Suh still playing well. They had Aqib Talib, I think, a lot of other guys on defense as well. But so the Patriots offense would have been able to move the ball on the Saints. But the Saints would have been able to move the ball on the Patriots because we would not have had the calls like we had on the Rams. We would not have had the familiarity with the offense. So I think that's a high-scoring game. I think that Super Bowl is a different Super Bowl completely. I think both teams end up in the 30s probably.
I think it definitely would have been a better game either way. Whoever was splitting hairs who could have won. But there you go. Hey, man, I thought you were just going to have me on for a few minutes, and I appreciate you having me on even this long. And as much as I would love to talk Saints for the rest of the afternoon, I did not realize what time it is, and I kind of do have to.
No problem. I just wanted to give Brees his due. So
dude, I totally appreciate it. See, that's the difference. You had to lose a bet to wear Jets' ugly green color. At least black and gold kind of a cool color, and nobody would even ask you or expect you to wear a black and gold combination. So much props to you. That's why I can be a great member of this group and love talking football and talking shit and ball busting and all that. I can't wait for hopefully the fantasy football league to get back to rolling out again. So
absolutely, sounds good. All right, man. Have a good night.
Nice talking to you, brother. On. Yes, sir. Anytime.
All right. Well, that was fun. But anyway, if you're just getting on here, that was Chad Johnson. He's a moderator for our Facebook group and biggest Saints fan I know. And we've been talking about the Saints and Drew Brees this entire episode so far. Now, we also have some other things to talk about tonight. A lot of stuff with the Patriots. A lot of movement, a big spinning spree. We have also some controversial stuff around the league and different things. And I'm going to bring on Shaq in a few minutes here to, we're going to go over all the Patriots movements because this guy, Shaq, you guys know him, but he knows he knows if we sign a practice squad guy from Nova Scotia. All right. So he's good for that. But Yeah, Tiffany. Yeah, he's a big Saints fan. Yeah, you're a Seahawks Falcons fan. Yeah, I'm sorry. If I would have read that, I would have mentioned it. So, hey Tyree, what's up, man? Brian Magnum. Where does everybody? Where do I rank Drew Brees? Well, the thing is that we're gonna do. We saved it for the off season, but we're gonna do a greatest quarterbacks of all time, and I've got a system, a formula that will help us solve that. And what it does is it counts everything, but it doesn't count stats as far as bulk stats because I mean Philip Rivers has like is top five in yards, I think, or something. I mean, in 20 years, guys like Jared Goff will be in the top 10 in yards. So that's not what matters. What matters is where you ranked. So did you lead the league in the year 2011 in passing yards, for example? Well, Drew Brees did, right? So in that category, Drew would get he was number one. He threw over 5,000 yards. He's number one. I think Brady was second, but Brees was one. So Brees would get 5 points. And then if you're second, you get four, and if you're third, you get three, and so on, all the way down to one. So it doesn't really matter how many yards you threw for. And the reason this works well is because whether it's 1975 or whether it's 2020, it doesn't matter if the leader of the number one yardage guy was 3,000 yards or 5,000 yards. It makes no difference because everyone is playing in the playing field in that year. So all that matters is ranking. Where are you up against your peers? That's the only way that we could do this where it's fair because you're trying to pick across timelines. And you can't do that with just pure bulk numbers. It doesn't work like that. So we take those things and we add up those points, but we assign points for Super Bowls, of course, MVPs, Super Bowl MVPs, uh, wild card appearance gets a certain level, divisional appearance gets a certain level, and so on. Division, where are you at in your division? How many times did you win your division? You get some points for that, and so on. So I think this is probably the best way to figure out who the greatest quarterbacks of all time are, where nobody suffers from a generational gap or generational difference. Where Drew ends up out of that, he will end up very high, and it's very likely he'll end up in the top 10 because I'm pretty sure nearly every year for like the last 10 years at least the last 10 years, maybe more, Drew is number one in something, whether it was touchdowns or yards or completions or whatever, lowest interception rating, whatever it was. I'm sure that he's going to get a lot of fives, five, all over the place. So I think he'll end up in the top 10. That's my opinion. The the all-time record is a nice thing. I know that Tom is going to capture it next year. He'll end up passing Drew for the yards and the touchdowns. It's longevity numbers, guys. Let's be honest here. It's I mean, Brett Favre had it because he played forever and he never missed a game. Then Peyton had it because he played forever, and other than 2011, he never missed a game. Then Tom got it, Drew got it, Tom got it, Drew got it, back and forth because they both played forever. You know, Drew rarely misses games. Tom only missed a game when he was injured in '08, and then the four 4 games for that stupid suspension. That was ridiculous. But other than that, they always played. So it's a longevity stat, and that's good. But longevity is not a stat in itself, but it does bring you. It should bring you, if you're one of the greats, then longevity will bring you division wins. It will bring you playoff victories. It will bring you those things if you deserve to be in the top. And that is how we eliminate guys that are like, I'm sorry, but Matthew Stafford and good dudes like that, right? Phillip Rivers. Those guys are going to be bumped out because they're not consistently getting points in the other areas. And so their longevity is kind of pointless. There's nothing to show for it. Nothing. Nothing to show for it. So I don't give a shit. I don't care that you're 5th in yards all the time. I don't care at all. It means nothing to me. Did you win? Did you win? Did you do anything? Did you win your division all the time? Did you constantly show up in the playoffs? Were you constantly there knocking on the door? Were you doing something with it? These guys can't say that. And in, like I said, another 10 to 15, 20 years, we're going to have a million of these dudes on these lists. And everyone's going to be like, what the hell's happening here? Who are these? Why are these guys on here? This is the same way that the guys from the 1980s are freaking out right now, seeing themselves being passed up. Like Joe Montana getting passed up on yardage. Of course he is. Okay? Or Elway getting passed up, or Marino and those guys. Actually, it took a while for Marino to get passed up, but you get my point. It's like, that's not, well, we fixed it. So it's fixed. Oates and M8, no, only the rankings for statistics have a 5-point cap. Then there are things that are weighted bigger than that and are assigned different more points for like MVP, Super Bowls, and those things carry much more weight. Way much more weight, yeah. But the 5-point cap is only for category. So you got the standard categories. You got completion percentage. You've got yards, touchdowns, interceptions, but the reverse, of course. And several other quarterback categories that I think are vital to being a great quarterback. So I just want to brief you guys. So Monday, a new video comes out called it's Tom Brady versus Aaron Rodgers, and it will be the beginning of the new Brady Hate Saga season. This episode is a special one. It's extra long. If you like the Brady versus Montana documentary, this is very similar, but not in the same way as who's greater, because that's a dumb conversation. That's not what I'm doing. Because with the Montana versus Brady, I was literally trying to settle an argument, and of course I had done that before Brady had added on all this other crap. So, but this one's different. This is targeted towards all of the people who think that Aaron Rodgers is a better quarterback than Tom Brady. So you guys might hear this a lot. Tom Brady may be the GOAT, but Aaron Rodgers is the BOAT, meaning the best of all time. Okay? What does that mean? So it's a bunch of ridiculous crap. I take all the things, so I take every single thing that I've ever heard that why Aaron Rodgers is better than Brady, and I turn it around. They want to talk about stats, we match those. They want to talk about winning, and we match those. They want to talk about throwing mechanics and talent. They love that word talent. Well, we look at that, and see how important it is. Does Aaron Rodgers, maybe he has more talent and he does things with the ball running, but does he counterbalance that by getting sacked all the time? So there's a trade-off. Does Tom, by not running, does he make up with better defensive reading, better pocket passing, not getting sacked as often, getting rid of the ball faster? Those things balance out. And where do they balance out? And also, we look at their teammates. They always said that Aaron Rodgers have better teammates. Or, I mean, I'm sorry, did Tom Brady always had a better team, better teammates, and all that stuff? Yeah, well, we need to look at that, don't we? So I've heard everything you can think of, but we really look at that and really see what the truth is. So it ended up extra long, but I think you guys will like it because there's a section there where we talk where I go over the NFC Championship game, because that one in particular really shows a lot about the Aaron versus Tom mentality amongst the fan base in the NFL. And everything you could possibly say negative about Tom and positive about Aaron was said the week leading up to that game. So that game is like a microcosm of basically all of it. So when we go over it, and like I said, it ran extra long, but and I kept adding some statistics and graphs, and I get a little carried away in Photoshop, and I get a little carried away artistically, and I start working on things and adding more and adding more. And before I knew it, the video was like freaking long as hell. I was like, okay, I got to cut this off. I got to stop. But anyway, that comes out on Monday, and I'd also like to schedule a meetup for the members. So we need to have our first membership meetup, and I'd like all of us to kind of agree on a day that we all would be happy with. So I'm gonna after the show, I'm gonna post in the members section, and then you guys comment and tell me what days you think, and then I'll try to narrow that down to get the best day for that. So, but we're back now, full time. This is what we do. I mean, we're back. So it's time to get things rolling. We have a new season and a lot of new things. I'm still going to continue to talk about other stuff as well that's going on, but at the same time, I want to bring on Shaq. So Shaq, if you could join me, we're going to talk about a lot of the Patriots movements and stuff. Ozymandias brought up tennis. I don't know. I love tennis, but yeah, how do you argue a generational argument for Fred Perry or Rod Laver versus Sampras or Federer? That's a good example. And tennis is different, of course, as far as what we value and what we don't. In tennis, the competition level is credited more than just end result statistics. So, for example, winning 8 Grand Slams in the year in the 1980s or 70s or 90s, you know, the huge giant I'd say the golden age, that tennis was coming into its own. Those tend to have more value than 1930s and stuff like that, because the field was very slim. There was only a few people who were really great at tennis. So when you go back that far, it changes. So like tennis, you have to change some things, and the formula wouldn't work exactly for tennis the way it would for football. Aaron is the douchiest of all time. I could agree with that. One of our subscribers here, Dennis Dennert, he posted 2021 cap hit quarterbacks, top 21 cap hits. This coming up this year. Aaron Rodgers, #1 cap hit, 37.6 million. Russell Wilson, 32 million. Cousins, 31 million. Kirk Cousins, 30. Can you imagine taking a $31 million cap hit on Kirk Cousins? Ouch. 29.5 for Ryan Tannehill. That just hurts me. At the very bottom, Brady, 9.1. And look who's back. What's that?
That's
What's that? Look at this, man. I even got one of those little gold.
fidget
I don't even know.
spinners.
I don't know what they're called.
It looks like a fidget spinner.
Yeah, fidget. Yeah, that's it. It's perpetual motion. So this thing will go for like
Yeah.
a long ass time because of the movement of the Earth and the gravitational pull. Isn't that pretty cool? So this thing will just keep
Yeah.
going, and it doesn't even lose its momentum until
Yeah.
way later. You've got to wait for like a long time. See, look,
But
it looks
those
like it's
things
got a
were
motor.
those things were the rage in 2019.
Yeah, something like that. I don't even know. It was in my drawer. I don't even know how I ended up with this thing, but it's pretty cool. Anyway. But if you go like that, it pushes back against your hand. Like you could feel it, the magnet or the magnetism of it. It's pretty cool. But anyway, how you doing, man?
I'm doing great, man. I'm
Welcome
glad you
back.
finally. Welcome back to you. I was hoping in the last time we would have a show, so I'm glad we're having it now because yeah, it's just about that time that
Absolutely.
things are starting.
Well, I thought the new league year, that's perfect, right? So, the new league year just started. All the movement started happening. So this was the first Saturday since everything's kind of started going crazy. But let me ask you a big question first. I'm going to ask you right off the bat. Since this is Drew Brees night, where do you rank
Okay.
Drew Brees all time?
Wow. I mean, I would, man. I mean, I don't think I can give him top 10. I don't think I can do that, but I definitely will have him like 11 or 12. So right around that portion. But that's still, I would say that's still damn good out of all the quarterbacks that have played. And you're, at least top 15. I think that's
It's so hard. The top 10 is so difficult because then when you get to like 8, 9, and 10, you're like, oh wait, but we forgot about so and so.
yeah,
And
yeah,
when you get around 8, I remember we had this problem when we were just having some fun that one time. When you get around 8, 9, or 10, you're thinking, oh, but what about Kurt Warner? But what about Steve Young? But what about Troy Aikman? But you start forgetting these guys, and then even Aaron Rodgers. What about Aaron? What about Drew? And you can't fit them all in there. Somebody's got to be 11. Somebody's got to be 12, 13, 14. It's just really hard. And it's going to get even more difficult each year because we're adding new quarterbacks. One day we're going to have to be adding, probably, we're going to have to fit Mahomes somewhere if he keeps playing if he keeps doing what he's been doing.
yeah.
So, and then what if Ben Roethlisberger gets another Super Bowl? That creates
Oof,
a problem.
man.
Like it's just,
Yeah.
so we're going to have to keep pushing this, and it's just going to get weirder and weirder and weirder and weirder. So eventually top 20 is going to be held in regard like top 10. That's basically what's going to have to be. So
Yeah, that's gonna be really tough. But he's definitely, I would say, getting in the Hall of Fame, right? Or the
Drew,
Hall of, yeah, or the Hall of something.
Drew will be first ballot. So
Yeah,
as
better
soon
be.
as um, so I think he'll qualify somewhere in our hall, probably, but not in the first 5, of course. So not the
Oh, our Hall.
elite of
Oh,
elite. Yeah, but
oh,
you're talking about
I meant,
you're talking about Canton.
yeah, Canton, yeah.
Yeah, Canton. He'll be first ballot. Yeah, sure.
I say he better be in first ballot in Canton.
Dude, they just, I still cannot believe that they put Calvin Johnson, first ballot into the Hall of Fame. I was a huge Megatron fan, okay? So don't get me wrong. This is not me hating. I like
No,
him,
yeah.
but he is not first ballot, guys. Sorry, but he ain't. That, it's just no. Okay. If one more asshole on ESPN mentions Giselle's name in regards to Tom, okay, in regards to Tom taking pay cuts or restructuring his contract, if they mention Giselle, oh, well, you can do that when you've got a rich wife. What does it matter? Okay. So if he didn't have Giselle, all of a sudden Brady's $250 million that he's made in his career, he couldn't handle it. Like he he would be like, oh, well, it's a good thing I have my wife because if I didn't have her, I'd have to ask for 10 more million. What kind of?
I think they do that. It's kind of like an emasculating thing. I think they say, well, it's kind of their way of saying he's whipped and that he loves his wife because, I guess he can depend on her to make up for what he leaves off. Which, I mean, it's crazy to say he leaves off money when, I mean, he's still getting paid millions. So yeah. I just think it's a subtle way of saying that he's not that much of a man because they want to say that, but if they say that, then that's just blatantly insulting, his manhood, and they wouldn't dare do that.
Yeah, I mean, Shaq, clearly Peyton Manning had to sign that fourth max dollar contract because he had no choice. He had to feed his
Yeah.
family. When he signed that, he was only worth 200 million. So, I mean, if Peyton didn't sign that, I mean, his wife doesn't make any money. So if he didn't sign for max dollars, if Eli, if Eli didn't sign for max dollars his third time, I mean, you got to understand they don't have those rich wives like Tom's got. They're going to struggle. These people literally are making these arguments. It's shocking. All right. First off, Tom is no dummy. Okay. He doesn't take less money. Yes, he leaves money on the table that he could have got guaranteed. Okay. But there's one thing that people are missing. Tom fulfills his contracts. So he's always getting paid. When you see a player that signs a deal, it says so and so gets a 5-year deal worth $100 million. Do you have any idea how rare it is for those guys to ever see a full $100 million? They almost never do. They almost never see that whole thing. They never fulfill it. Okay? You're
Yeah.
more likely, you're better off to fulfill a contract that is manageable to the team over time, and you'll end up making more money that way. But not just that. Tom knows he'll make it up in other ways. He'll make it up by winning. By the way, didn't he just get an extra few million for winning the Super Bowl?
Right.
So now all of a sudden his salary, that jumped up his salary. So you win more. But I just want to make sure that people understand this. Tom Brady was driving a Toyota pickup truck, okay, when he was winning Super Bowls. The dude wasn't worth anything, and he still didn't go max dollars on his first deal that he was offered. He could have broken the bank the second time. The second time, he could have asked for record-setting numbers, record-setting, and anybody would have given it to him. He didn't meet Giselle till later, and she didn't become his wife, which is what would make the money relevant, till even later than that. Tom had already restructured and redone 3 different contracts before he ever married her. So the point I'm trying to get at is that this isn't about you can do it because of money. It's about Tom. It's the gesture and believing that this is the right way to do it. That's what it's about. If he wasn't with Giselle, he'd still do it. Nothing's changed. It doesn't change anything. And besides, if they get divorced, Giselle's getting to take every single penny she's ever made, and so is Tom. If you don't think that they don't have an ironclad prenuptial agreement,
Right.
okay, are you kidding me? It's just, listen, marriages don't last forever. They never do anymore. These days, I think it's like
Look at
60%.
J-Lo and A-Rod. I
I
mean,
mean, yeah,
both of those people are, I would say, a couple of the richest celebrities in the world. I'm pretty sure they had a prenup before they got into that, because they
of course.
got into that, on a whim. So they were like, well, if something goes wrong, gotta make sure we both got ours. But anyway, but I agree with what Tiffany says. That spouses should be off limits as far as sports compensation is concerned. But
Yeah,
but we have to understand, ESPN doesn't talk about sports.
no,
That's
they're
why the
CNN.
E that's why the E is in front of ESPN, because it's entertainment first,
That's a good point. It actually does
right?
stand for entertainment. Yes.
Entertainment and Sports Network.
I think it
So
stands for Entertainment Sports Program Network.
Programming Network.
Yeah.
Yeah. That was what it was in 1979. But yeah, they're always going to go for the entertainment first. But yeah, spouses, children, those should be off limits when you're talking about athletes.
Oh, they even went after Tom's children before.
Well, not ESPN. WEEI did. Yeah,
Yeah, the local.
a guy named Alex Steiner went after him, called Brady's kid a pissant on the documentary Tom versus Time, because she was running around. Oh, but the horror, 5-year-old child running around the house. Asshole.
Dude, I'm telling you right now, Tom is a better man than I could ever be.
Yes.
If someone said that about my niece, okay, if my little
Yes.
5-year-old niece was on camera with me and he called my niece a pissant, oh, dude, it'd be on. I'd have this guy's job, okay? I'd have his mama fired. I'd have her Social Security check
Yeah.
intercepted, okay?
He could have that whole station taken
Over.
apart if he wanted to.
But he didn't even commit to no longer calling anymore, and I thought that was a guarantee.
Right.
I thought for sure he was never going to call again. But he just said, "Oh, I don't know if I'll be calling back." But he still called in to
He
talk
still
about it.
called. Yeah.
Like, how many people would do that? It's crazy.
That's where that book comes in. What was it? By Sun Tzu. What was it? The five I forget what the title of it, but it's a book by Sun Tzu. But those must be his, his
Art of War?
right, The Art of War.
Yeah, I mean, it's just.
His philosophy.
And then that guy who stole his jersey, that Mexican journalist who had both
Oh
of them.
man.
This
Oh
guy
my
not only
God.
stole your jersey, but he stole both. He stole them both, and you didn't even
Both of
know
them.
that would actually happen to the first one. And what did Tom say? He said, "I don't
He
want
said
anybody going to jail over
he's
this."
already in the jail. Yeah.
Do you understand that those jerseys are worth $500,000 each? And for America, that's FBI territory. That means, because it's not about the jersey. It's not. People laugh and they go, "Oh, why would the FBI get involved for a football jersey?" No, it's not a football jersey. It's the monetary value. It's the same thing as if it was 500,000 in cocaine or 500,000
Right.
in gold
Diamonds.
bars. It doesn't matter. It's $500,000, and it crossed international lines. It was stolen from America, crossed into Mexico, and even with that, Tom said, "I just want them back. I don't even care. Not me." I'd be like, "This motherfucker, he stole my jersey." I would have been on it, dude. So
I recommend people watch the documentary The Great Brady Heist, because that was a really crazy documentary. Like like you said, you would think, oh, 2 jerseys, like what's the big deal? He can just get a replica or whatever. But no, those are worn jerseys. His body, Tom Brady's body, was on those jerseys. It means more than just a simple jersey you can buy at the pro shop. So, and those are Super Bowl jerseys with the stain and everything. And so, like, that guy just went through so much, hassle. And the fact that Brady got him, he got both of them back, and from that kid who helped him, that's amazing. It's a crazy story.
And not only that, that dude, he had Von Miller's helmet.
Yeah, he had a lot of stuff, didn't he?
Yeah. How do you get Von Miller's helmet?
It's crazy.
That's a weird thing to get. That's huge. Like, how this guy is like a master thief or something. Like, what the hell? 3 years in a row. So 49, he stole Tom's jersey. In 50, he stole Von Miller's helmet, and in 51, he stole Tom's jersey. That's crazy, man.
And then how does nobody like know like, oh, this person doesn't belong here? Like, what is he doing?
Donnie, your brother passed away. Hmm. I'm sorry to hear that, man.
Sorry to hear, Donnie.
They sent. I have a picture of them together that they sent me. Um, Dottie sent me a old Pat Patriot helmet from the 70s that belonged to him and his brother when they were kids. And that's I'm going to set that up when we get back to America in our studio. So that's going to be like one of the pieces that we're going to set up. But I'm really sorry to hear that, Donnie. I'm glad to see you back. Like seeing you here. I'm glad to see everybody back. This is awesome. I'll write you talk. I want to talk about that some more with you.
Yeah, yeah. My
Donnie,
mom's girlfriend. Oh God,
mom's
yeah.
girlfriend, wife, and mom always yapping. They need to stay out of it. By the way, Tom Brady's dad needs to shut up. Okay,
Yes,
just
yes.
everybody related, shut up.
Stop talking.
For the love
And,
of God.
like every mic that comes near you, you have to speak. You can't say no comment. Like that is possible.
Exactly. All right. So let's talk about Patriots off-season moves.
Yeah,
I think probably the biggest name on the list is probably Hunter Henry. Wouldn't you agree?
yeah. I would agree.
Um, I watched your interview with him the other day. I think I sent it to you in the Legion chat. Do you think he smashed Megan or not?
Yeah, definitely on that table.
Okay. So that's important. That's an important. See, you only get that kind of analysis here at Von Allen Sports.
Although I think she smashed a lot of players, but anyway, but I don't want to accuse her of anything. But
Well, Gronk smasher too. So
yeah,
okay, Tiffany O asks, I have a question for you Patriots fans. Why did they re-sign Cam Newton? I thought they tried the experiment and it failed because circumstances changed. Do you want to go first or do you want me to take it?
no, you go ahead.
Okay. So the Cam situation last year was a circumstantial situation, first of all, how we even ended up with him. Okay. We had salary cap issues, very bad salary cap issues. Tom's gone.
Mm-hmm.
We also have to pay, we took a dead money hit. So we're already investing 13 million into the quarterback position for a quarterback that doesn't exist. So Cam needed a team. He agreed, shockingly, to sign for 1.5, something like that. That's a steal. We took it. But that technically means that we're paying Cam 14.5 million because all that matters is the cap. All that matters is what you're devoting to that position. And with that dead money on Brady, Cam is technically costing 14.5 million. So that's a good deal. You're getting a former league MVP, and that's really all we could have done at that time. There was nobody else. There was nothing there. There was nothing out there. The whole year was weird. The COVID thing, just everything, no preseason, nothing. So we all know we get that. But this year, things changed. After Tom went to Tampa Bay and won a Super Bowl by what people think is assembling a dream team, it's not what happened. Okay. Tom went to a 7-9 team and then brought people over. That there's a big difference. Okay. But all these other teams thought that the secret was not to assemble a good team together, but acquire a quarterback that everybody knows, even if they're mid-level. So everybody started going nuts. Before this happened, before the craziness happened with these quarterbacks, Bill was considering, okay, maybe we could talk to Matthew Stafford. Maybe we can get a good deal for Matthew Stafford, what he's worth, right? Maybe that will work. For a while, Matt Ryan, we thought maybe was a doable, but then the Falcons backed off on that and said he's not available anymore. But there were options out there. There was even rumors about Andy Dalton, maybe even Jared Goff if the Rams were willing to make a deal for Jared Goff. There was a lot of that, okay? But all this was thought in the mindset that these quarterbacks you're going to get them for what they're worth. Bill did not anticipate, apparently, the idiocy that was going to go on that the Rams did for Matthew Stafford. Okay, listen, I like Matthew Stafford, but he is not worth what they gave up for him. Dude, the difference between it's just stupid. It was complete idiocy. But the moment that happened, what happened? It took the quarterbacks and propelled them up to value that is not realistic. And then right after that, so they signed Dak. They give him $40 a year, $40 million a year. Okay, $40 million a year for Dak Prescott. I like Dak. Okay, I think he's a good quarterback, but he's not $40 million a year quarterback. That is ridiculous. So that adds to the frenzy. And now we've got this idea that these quarterbacks who were hovering in the like upper middle tier, okay, are now worth ungodly amounts of money, worth ungodly amounts of draft picks. And none of these guys are gettable now because the price tag is stupid. Okay? If we had sent what the Rams sent for Matthew Stafford, I would have put a hit out on Bill Belichick. Okay?
Yeah.
That would have been the dumbest deal of all time. No, he thought he was going to get Matt or somebody like Matt at a comparable, like a reasonable, good price. That didn't happen. And because of this idiocy, because of all this craziness going on, what are we left with? We're left with Cam Newton and drafting. That's the way it's got to be.
Because you're not getting you don't want Mitchell Trubisky or any of those other Walmart basement quarterbacks that are not going to give you anything. They're not going to add anything to you. And anybody you do add from free agency has to learn the system. When you're adding somebody like Cam, he's already there, already been in the building for a year.
Yep.
You hope that with this year coming up, there's a full off season. He didn't have that last year. You hope that he stays away from all sicknesses and everything else. And with the people they've added, which we'll talk about soon, there definitely tends to be a lot more production. So, and you're signing him for a limited price. Everybody came when they signed him and they said, "Oh, $14 million." Everybody went crazy because it looked like it was $14 million. Mm-hmm. But what everybody didn't see was all the incentives that are involved with his contract. It adds up to about $6 million of if he makes the playoffs, and another $4 million if he gets an MVP. And look, if he makes those incentives, isn't that a good thing? Isn't that a good thing? If he gets those incentives.
That's the thing. The incentive package is the best deal. As a fan, you should want every player on an incentive package. Every player. Okay, I would be happy to pay Cam Newton $14 million because it means that he hit the incentives. It meant that he threw for his rushing touch. He threw for his passing touchdowns, his rushing touchdowns. It means he got us to the playoffs. It means he get us to the Super Bowl. If he maxes out that contract, it's all good.
Right.
The base is shit. Okay, the base is nothing.
Right. Yeah, Lorvar says $3.5 million. That's nothing.
And the only reason last year that he even signed for $1.5 million is because Belichick said, if you do it, I'll make you the starter. That is why Bill stuck with him through thick and thin, no matter what. Because Cam's like, okay, if I'm going to play for $1.5 million, this is going to really kill me. As far as like his future prospects, if it doesn't work out, and that's the truth. So, but he was given the starting job, and that I mean, who are they going to give it to? For some reason,
Right.
I don't know what happened with Jarrett Stidham, but what the hell, dude?
I know what happened
Like,
with Jared Stidham. I know what happened with him. He's taking pictures on Instagram about doing whatever with models and whatever, and
really?
not once is he doing anything with N'Keal Harry and Jacoby Myers and all the other wide receivers. He's just taking pictures on Instagram. That's what he's
So
doing.
he's turning it into Matt Leinart, basically. All right, cool.
Basically.
That's all Matt
So
Leinart did.
with that being said, I think that they're going to draft a quarterback. I really do. I'm not sure if it'll be at 15, but I think they're going to draft a quarterback because I think this
Of
is the
course.
perfect year to get a guy in the system, have them there for a year, have them under a league MVP, former league MVP in Cam Newton, and get a year of experience, and then hand it off slowly to him, whoever that person is. So, and I think there's still time for many of these other players because these are the dream moves, but from all the news that's come out the last few weeks with Russell Wilson being so frustrated, and frankly Sierra too, frustrated with the lack of protection he's gotten over the last 3 or 4 years.
Yeah.
I mean, he's just been like a out there, that offensive line. And
Yeah,
then
it's bad. It's bad.
and then with all the news coming out about Deshaun Watson, that's a whole nother thing. But even before all the news came out of the last
Yeah.
couple of days, like his name was still being like Jeff Howe from the Athletic was still was kind of hinting at Deshaun Watson to the Patriots, like he was kind of poking people's holes a little bit, saying maybe, but I don't know. I think if this crap all goes away, I think it's all hands on deck. But in my little conspiracy theory, I kind of think it's kind of weird that all of this has come out the moment that free agency starts. So
You
it's
mean
kind of
like with
reminds me of
Antonio Brown?
Yeah, when he was signed by the Patriots, immediately that story came out, and then Robert Klemko comes out and says, "Oh, there's more to the story," and then as soon as the Patriots cut him, there's nothing more to the story. I don't know. It's
Yeah.
just weird
Well,
to me.
we're going to get to that. I've got
Yeah.
plenty to say about that. John Thomas Chavez sends a $5 super chat. Thank you, Sean. And he says, as much money as we spent, Cam's still highly respected throughout the league. No one's going to come to New England for Jake Gala or Jarrett Stidham, and that's the truth. That's the truth. The players still like Cam. They're friends with him. They know him. It's
Absolute, John. Absolutely, that's a great point because when the news came out that Cam was re-signed, like almost to a man, all the players like on social media were pumped about it. So there's no doubting his leadership in that locker room. Um, Now, again, he has to improve as a quarterback because last season
yeah,
was not good, and he knows that. And I think Belichick knows that too. So I think they're banking on this year being better, and with the guys they brought in, it has to be better because you can't say that the Patriots haven't improved because they have. I mean, when you bring in not one but both of the top tight ends in free agency, I mean, let's start there. I mean,
yeah.
that's pretty amazing, and it kind of took me by surprise. Did it take you by surprise? Because I kind of thought that Jonnu Smith was a guy that they would pick up because he just seems to fit. He's an awesome blocker. I've seen that,
Mm-hmm.
and he's made some great catches for the
Yeah.
Titans. So he's the kind of guy that I thought that the Patriots would pick up. But I didn't think the Patriots pick up Hunter Henry also because
I know, but that's a good working relationship with guys like Vrabel. But
yeah.
it's
And then there was some talk on Twitter about, Jonnu Smith must be mad because Hunter Henry's coming in to take his snaps. I'm like, what? What does that mean? No. it,
listen,
this
those guys get
even now you can play Jonnu Smith or either in the Aaron Hernandez don't rest in peace role. So you know what I mean?
Aaron Hernandez. You invoked the name Aaron Hernandez.
He can play
Hey,
that
we have
similar
a
role.
new subscriber, Sharon Barnhill. She
Nice.
said, "Superb. My daughter graduated with you, Aaron." Okay, well, she's obviously from Arkansas because she spelled my name Aaron. Uh, wait, so are you Miss Barnhill from school? Didn't you work at the school for a little bit? Our school? That's interesting. I love it when someone from Arkansas comes on here. It's interesting because it doesn't happen very often. Ashley, s- Ashley Huffstedler is your daughter. Nice. Of course I know her. That's awesome. Yeah, I know. Well, I know, of course, Ashley and Britt. Graduated with Ashley, though. Yeah, that's awesome. Thank you. Oh, okay. And yeah, thank you for you. She bought all my music CDs too.
Nice.
Thank you so much. Well, I still call her Mrs. Barnhill. So, Jake Saunders says, Aaron, you'll like Hunter Henry. He is an Arkansas boy through and through. So, I liked Hunter Henry already. So, I even like him more now. Actually, I didn't know he was from Arkansas. Let's see here. Um, Donnie says, I think quarterback isn't that important to Bill Belichick. I think he wants to turn the Pats into the '86 Giants. I was about to say that actually. Great defense, average quarterback, short passes, and very good run game. I think that's why he got 2 tight ends, and that's exactly what I was thinking. I think
That's a
at
good one.
first, the very first thing he was thinking was, like I said before I went on that rant, was trying to go and get a quarterback, like a pocket passer. And when that whole thing went to crap, he said, "Okay, well, why don't we?" Because at the time he hadn't made these moves yet, so he had clearly
Right.
not decided on what they were going to be.
Right.
Because if he was able to acquire Matthew Stafford or someone like that, then he would have went after probably different targets, different guys like AJ Green. AJ Green's probably on the Patriots right now if he had gotten Matthew Stafford, as
Ugh.
or someone like that, a
Yeah.
type, that type of guy. But and maybe he doesn't go with a go tight end crazy. Maybe doesn't worry about that as much. So, but once Cam became the option, he thought, okay, well, why don't we just use Cam at what he does, and that is, you know, controlling the clock, running the ball when he can, and
And he's gonna have an offensive line that protects him like no other. I mean, he really will. With Trent Brown coming back, which I'm so happy about because because Trent Brown, along with David Andrews, who's also back, which I'm thrilled about, uh, both of them shut down. And we were just talking about Super Bowl 53. They shut down Aaron Donald, like
yep,
nothing in the
yeah.
Super Bowl.
People don't talk about that, by the way. Nobody
Yeah,
ever mentions that. Nobody ever mentions that. All they ever do is talk about that Super Bowl. Oh, it's boring. Oh,
right. It was
it's boring.
boring.
No points. No, dude. Aaron Donald's supposed to be the greatest thing that's ever happened since whatever, right? But he
Yeah,
got
and I
completely neutralized. Completely neutralized.
yeah
And
yeah
not just neutralized physically, okay? Mentally. You've seen the documentaries on Super Bowl 53. You've seen him on the sidelines. The dude was mentally beaten. He was emotionally and mentally defeated. They robbed him of his soul, okay? They just completely took it from him. So nobody talks about that much, and that bugs me. But yeah, we had the Rams number that day, but they had ours too. So
yeah.
at least
I
on
agree.
offense. So
Yeah, I agree with Donnie though. I mean, they're Bill's trying to make a team that's not super dependent on a Tom Brady like quarterback or a super quarterback. Like you said with the Giants, plug in some Phil Sims
Jeff
quarterback in there,
Hostetler, yeah,
Jeff Hostetler, and win.
yeah,
Like he's building a team for a plug and play quarterback, whoever that might be, whether it's Cam or someone else. So I think it's great. Jake, I know, yeah, it sucks losing Joe Tooney, but Brown, he's Mooney and starts. I mean, you can slide Mike Onowenu over, he was amazing his rookie year. You have Ted Karras, you have Brown, Lynn, Onowenu. They all have positional flexibility on the line. So I'm very excited of that offensive line. Look, this might pain you to have me say this, but the running game is going to be better. Damian
No,
Harris and Sony Michelle,
no.
both of them are going to be great this year. And I
Damian
think
Harris,
it won't.
yes. Panasonic Michelle, I'm gonna return him to
Sony
Sam's
Michelle was
Club.
great the last 6 games last year. He was awesome.
Panasonic Michelle. No thanks. No, I'm kidding. Sanyo Michelle. That's where he's at right now. He's at Sanyo. So
He'll be a Samsung this year.
all right. No, I think so. Last year was a weird situation. 2019 was weird too, even so. But listen, what the difference between 2019 and 2020? It's the same kind of crap, basically. But when you go from having the greatest quarterback of all time, who is still the greatest quarterback of all time, it's not like he was the greatest quarterback of all time.
Yeah.
He's still the greatest quarterback of all time. And when you go from him in a weird year, you're going to go from 12-4 to 7-9. Yeah, I mean that's kind of I don't know if anybody else would have done much better last year, to be honest. I mean, they would have completed a few more passes, maybe, but maybe then there's other things that they may have thrown picks, a bunch of picks, more picks because they're throwing the ball more. We don't know what would have happened, but it doesn't matter at this point. But that's a very long, drawn-out version to answer your question, though. When Tiffany asked about why did we sign Cam Newton, I hope your answer was somewhere in there between the both of us, but probably more from Shaq than me because I just got all pissed off about it. So, yeah, but I'll be happy if Sony can do 5-yard belly flops instead of 2-yard belly flops. That'll be. I'm hoping for that. So.
He's gonna win you over this year, I'm telling you.
I loved him in 2018.
Yeah, they don't win the Super Bowl without him.
Nope.
They don't finish the playoffs without him.
But we also had Dante Scarnecchia that year.
Yeah.
So people don't remember that, but given Deshaun Watson's recent situation with the massage therapist, I think he's the perfect candidate for someone like Robert Kraft to sign, right? I mean, I'm just hear
Are you
me
saying they
out.
have something in common?
They might. Okay, apparently they have similar interests. So I'm just yeah, maybe. Okay, all right.
That whole rant from that lawyer was just, it really was odd to me. I mean, because he just
Whose lawyer?
kept mentioning, oh, the lawyer that's suing Deshaun Watson. Like,
Oh, I haven't seen it. What is it?
oh,
What? Tell me about it.
basically he's saying, I mean, it was just like a rant. It was like, I'm a Marine and I'm a like fathers everywhere and this, like, it was not like, it was rambling really. I think I have it up posted somewhere, but
You mean the
like,
dude that's got like 20 women or whatever?
right,
Um,
right. They're
what
on the
suit Deshaun
lawsuit.
Watson?
Yeah,
And this came out after the Patriots had made an inquiry, right, to Nick Kazaro.
right, right.
Wow.
It was weird.
You understand that if Belichick had acquired Deshaun Watson, that would have meant that Tom Brady just won the Super Bowl and the NFC, and Belichick now has another franchise quarterback. That the NFL office must have been like, I'm serious, okay? The owners must have been losing their minds. Like, I
Right.
think the only reason they can put up with Brady winning is because the Patriots didn't make the playoffs. I think that's the only reason why that they've not made a bigger deal out of this. But one thing we do know, the fans, NFL fans in general, hate Brady more than they hate Belichick. But the NFL organization, the actual owners, they hate Belichick more. It's a weird thing, but for some reason, the owners and the coaches hate Bill more. Bill seems to have rubbed them the wrong way, I guess, way too many times. So, yeah. We have a 5-pound super chat from Lord Varsh coming from England. He says, there's organizations before us in the draft who don't need a quarterback who might swap places. I'm happy with all of the chess bits Bill got, but agree our lines look set. Absolutely. I don't see why we can't trade up. I would like to get Mac Jones. I know because normally I'm not high on Alabama quarterbacks, especially when they play for Nick Saban. But I gave him a second look because of Jared. Jared had mentioned him, told me to look at him again. And so I looked at him more closely, and I agree with what Jared said, that he is not the typical Nick Saban, reliant. This guy's actually got he could be an NFL guy. I will never say that anyone is a Hall of Famer or even a Super Bowl winning quarterback. I'll always say, are they an NFL quarterback or are they not? That's where I'll start. And he looks the part. He seems to have it. We do know that Nick Saban's a good coach and a hard coach. He's a lot like Belichick. So you would know that Mac would come in already used to being held to a much higher standard. But who do you like?
I like Mac Jones, but I don't know. I don't know. I'm in between him and Justin Fields. Like I've watched a little bit of the whole day, and it just seems like he's that guy to me.
Yeah.
It may change in the next month, but yeah, it seems like he's good. Now, I don't know. Now, everyone knows that the Patriots are going to look at some option at quarterback. So,
sure.
I don't know. I think we might be surprised. I don't know if that 15 pick is going to. I think they might either move up or down, but I'm not sure if they're going to make that pick because it seems like everyone's talking about it, and the more obvious people make it, anything that becomes obvious to everyone, Belichick always goes in the opposite direction. So I don't think that pick is going to be made. So
you mean like when he picks N'Keal Harry or Sony Michel or Lawrence Maroney? Those kind of directions?
Well, yeah. Well, offensively, yeah, but defensively, it usually is better.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't think that's going to be the case this year. I think defensively, you're set there. So
yeah,
I think everybody's going to be looking towards the Patriots picking a quarterback, and I think it's going to be something totally different because nothing is obvious with the Patriots. There's always a surprise.
Back to back 5-pound super chats from Lord Varsh. Says both the Texans and Deshaun are on fire right now. Funny that. Also, Russ has been awfully quiet since all this came out. My quarterback to draft is Trey Lance. Nice. That's interesting.
All right. Well, I meant Trey Lance. I didn't say Fields. I said Fields. Yeah, that's who I meant. I meant Lance. Yeah, Lord Varsh is right.
Yeah, and he says, I think being from Division II and only playing one game last year, he may fall and we might not have to move up. I ignore media hype. Basically, you want to. Okay, the main guys who are always involved, like Kuiper and those douches, and the dude on ESPN. What's that guy's name? The other guy, the younger guy.
McShay.
Yes, Todd McShay. This guy's an idiot. All right. He is wrong more than anybody should be allowed to be wrong. Okay. I remember he went on First Take. It was 2 or 3 years ago when Daniel Jones was drafted, and he went on First Take and he talked about how bad of a pick Daniel Jones was for the Giants, and said that they should have went after what's the dude that was in the Redskins and he just signed with the Steelers? Haskins, Dwayne Haskins.
Yeah.
He tried to say that Dwayne Haskins was available for the Giants and they could have taken him and stuff. And Max Kellerman was all upset and he threw his paper across the room and stuff because he's a Giants fan. This guy was so cocky and confident, like he knew what he was talking about. Yeah. How'd that work out? I mean, I'm not saying that Daniel Jones is the second coming of whoever. I was going to say Eli, but I don't know. The second coming of whoever, but
Did you
at
did
least
you
he's a
see?
starter. At least he's starting. So
Speaking of Eli, did you see that tweet that he sent out?
no.
He got a good one on Chris Sims. He put a picture. He found a picture of Chris Sims and him on the cover of some magazine back in the
Yeah,
day.
I did see that.
And he said, "I didn't know Chris Sims played football or something like that."
Damn, are you serious?
Yes, yes.
Wow.
Eli's spicy.
You know where that comes from, right? I think because had Jared had told me that back when Chris Sims was being drafted and around the same time as Eli was in college too, so they were in the college at the same time. They were big competitors, but everyone was making a big deal out of Chris Sims, how he was the next Peyton Manning, and they were not saying that for Eli. Like, hey, but wait a minute, I'm Eli Manning. I'm the next Peyton Manning, but everyone was like going crazy over Chris Sims. Maybe that was like a shot taken. And not only that, Chris Sims has said a lot of bad things about Eli. So
And he was holding like on the cover. Chris Sims, like he was holding the football weird. He was holding it with like
yeah,
3 fingers like this. It's like, oh,
maybe that's why he fumbled all the time.
maybe.
John Thomas Chavez, $5 super chat. He says, not trashing Lance, but beware, whenever a highly athletic quarterback with a lack of playing time is hyped as the next Patrick Mahomes. And see, that's the problem we're going to have to deal with for a while. And it's the,
Yeah,
oh my God, mobility.
arm
He's
strength,
mobile. He's mobile.
arm
He can get
strength,
out of the pocket. He could run. He could.
arm strength.
Then draft a running back. For the love of God.
So
You are
nobody's gonna say he's
drafting
the next Lamar Jackson or the next.
So stupid. Listen, if someone is talking about a quarterback's mobility, it means you can't throw. Okay? It means you can't throw. And if you could,
Unless you're Michael Vick.
if you could throw, they would just be talking about you in general. Okay? In generalities. This guy is the whole deal, the whole package. He's great. He's awesome, but they would talk about your throwing. They wouldn't talk about your mobility. When they always focus on mobility. Yeah, red flag, dude. Red flag. Huge red flag. So
Unless you're Michael Vick, and then you can pass.
is Michael Vick in this draft? I'm not sure. I don't know. Is he being drafted? Is there a Michael Vick? Yeah, exactly. So that ain't happening. And could you imagine if Michael Vick had the right coach? Let's say that he was on the Eagles instead of Donovan McNabb.
Wow.
So let's say that the
Reed?
Eagles drafted Vick. Let's say the Eagles drafted Vick in 01 and never ended up with McNabb, and they drafted Vick in 01. Different career, right? So
yeah.
So, could you do me a favor? Could you read all of the acquisitions that we've had? Do you have access to that?
I can find it quickly, but I think I have a list. Yeah. Okay, so it was so
Okay, well, hang
it's
on. So you've
Thomas
got it.
Smith.
You've got it.
Yeah.
Okay. Um, I'll be right back, and I'm going to answer all these questions. I'm going to return in just a moment. Shaq, if you could take over for me just for 2 minutes, and go over all the acquisitions that we've made. Okay.
Right, sure. Yeah. All right. So here we go. Yeah. This all started on March 10th, really. So it was surprising. So they signed Kendrick Bourne, wide receiver from the 49ers, to a 3-year contract. Agreed to terms with Nelson Aguilar. They signed Henry Anderson, defensive lineman, to a 2-year contract, formerly of the Jets. That's one I really like because the running defense was a huge issue last year, if you remember some of those games. So that was a problem. So I'm glad they signed Henry Anderson. And then on March 13th, they got Trent Brown back. That was a trade with the Raiders. I keep saying the Oakland Raiders, but they're in Las Vegas. They traded Marcus Cannon and Ryan Izzo to Houston. Marcus Cannon, man, what a great career he had with the Patriots. He battled cancer. He beat cancer. He won a Super Bowl or two with the Patriots, and just a really dependable guy. So happy for Marcus going to Houston. They signed Marquise Lee, and they signed Martravius Adams, and Dietrich Wise is back. And that contract, I mean, again, another option where the contract looked bad in the beginning, but then see, this is why I always say you should never believe the contracts and the initial numbers, because the initial numbers are always inflated because the agents are telling the reporters, hey, they're signing them for this much amount of money. But no, usually it's a little bit lower. So they also signed defensive backs Cody Davis and Jalen Mills. Jalen Mills has green hair, so he'll be very distinguishable from the rest of the secondary. Um, and then they signed Hunter Henry, the tight end. Uh, Linebackers Matt Judon, who I think he's going to be an absolute beast with that linebacking core, along with Chase Winovich and Dante Hightower, who's coming back, and Josh Uche. That that linebacking core is going to be awesome. I can't wait for that. They also signed Raekwon McMillan.
I know
And
yeah, that's going to be badass. Sorry, go ahead. I was just agreeing
oh,
with you.
okay. Okay, yeah, they signed Raekwon McMillan, and Kyle Van Noy is back from
Hell
Miami,
yeah, baby.
and I'm excited for that. If for nothing else, then for some reason, Kyle Van Noy gets on the nerves of the Boston media, and and because of that, I love him even more
I
because he
know.
just makes so mad. And not only that, he makes Max Kellerman mad. Because remember when he went on the show
Yep.
on First Take, and him and Sonny Michelle. By the way, that's why you should like Sonny Michelle, because he went on First Take and
Oh,
Max Kellerman. So.
I do like Sony Michelle. I mess with you. Actually, the thing about Sony Michelle, it's a thing between us. It's an inside joke. It's something I just keep
I
messing with
know,
you
I
about.
know.
But no, realistically, I do like Sony. I over exaggerated a bit just for fun, for effect. But no, I don't have a problem with Sony actually. So
All right. Yeah, and
my problem
Terrence.
tonight at the game, my problem that night at the game was I was so nervous. I wanted to win it so bad because I'd never seen Tom play in person. And so every mistake, every little bad play that went wrong, I was taking it like it was the Super Bowl, you know?
It was a
And
divisional game too,
yeah, but
championship
it
game.
was just normally I would have not been so crazy, but I was taking everything so seriously. And he was screwing up quite a bit that night, and I was just it was just bugging me. But normally I don't have a problem with Sony. It all ended up because of that night. And so the joke started, of me constantly harassing Sony Michelle. But no, I like Sony actually. So, but what you said about Kyle Van Noy, it's not just the Boston media. He pisses off other players. Okay? He's one of those guys that can get under your skin. So he's one of those guys that can stand across the line and yell at a quarterback or yell at offensive line or something and get them all flustered and angry about stupid crap. He's one of those guys that can get in a scrape, and get you all angry so they'll throw a flag on you. He's an antagonist, okay? And that's one thing I think is a huge asset for him is he's got that kind of personality where he can just really annoy you. And that's useful on the field, especially when you know what you're doing. Okay, continue.
That's it. So yeah, those are all the transactions the last few days. Oh, and Patrick Chung retired also. So
Yeah, that's all that.
yeah,
Um,
but it's all good because they have Kyle Duggar who is awesome, and I think Kyle learned enough from Patrick Chung where I think that they're good there. Now I'm even more confident because he retired. I think Patrick Chung said, "Look, you got this." And of course, Devin McCourty is still there too. But I'm kind of thinking this might be his last year if he doesn't retire before the season starts.
well, the biggest acquisition, the biggest roster change this year that's happened for the Patriots
Oh, I
is a
forgot
guy.
to mention one more. Sorry, I forgot to mention one more. Who was somebody else was re-signed? Justin Bethel, the special teams ace. That
Oh,
I think is the biggest one for me. That is the
wait,
biggest
what?
one for me.
He was with us 2 years ago, wasn't he?
Yeah.
He came
No,
from
he
the
was. Yeah,
Ravens.
well, yeah, he's been there for a couple. Well, last year
Okay, it was
he
last year.
played for
All right.
the Ravens
Yeah,
before. Yes.
he's back
And so they
again, or
resigned.
what? Oh, they
No, they
re-signed him.
resigned
Okay.
him. But
I was
I
fixing to
think
say,
that's
I didn't think we lost him, but
yeah. But I think it's a key move because Matthew Slater is also somebody getting up there in age, which is crazy for me to even say that, but he is. So I think again, it's a lot of these moves are pieces to shore up for the next.
the
So
torch handing off to the next. Yeah.
yeah,
Well, see, that's why we were excited about Stidham. We thought, and it's rightly so. We thought that this guy he was behind Tom for a year because we saw Jimmy, okay, we saw
mm-hmm.
Matt Castle, and we saw Brissett. We saw all three of those guys go on to other teams and play, pretty well, and they all ended up starting for other franchises. So naturally, we thought Stidham could be the guy. And now we don't have a guy who played behind Brady. This is tough, it's going to be tough, but we ain't got that. But at least in other positions. But the like I was going to say, the biggest acquisition we have, well, it's not really an acquisition, but it's a roster change. It's not even somebody who wasn't on the team, and you mentioned already, but it's Dante Hightower. People don't understand. Dante coming back is as big as if we went after a Von Miller or somebody like that, and I'm not saying Dante is that type of player. Don't quote me on that. I'm just saying as far as importance, and the impact it will have on the team, just in a different way. But Dante coming back is huge. You would have to count Hightower coming back as an acquisition. Like I see it as that, right? Because we didn't have him last
Yeah,
year, and he is the Tom Brady of our defense. That's what he does. That's he is there to make sure everybody knows what they're doing. And now
right.
you've got him
The
and
green dot.
Devin, and Devin's not the only one now out there like last year, and they were still great on defense for quite a while. So that's a big deal. And of course, I think all of us agree Dante Hightower. I know me, Jared, and the Red Coat. He's our favorite defensive Patriot. Is he your favorite defensive Patriot? Couldn't remember, but he's a big favorite amongst all of us, and there's a good reason. So Ryan Mallett sucks. Yeah, you had to mention Ryan Mallett, dude. I was on a roll. Well, I was just rolling, man. Why did you have to mention Ryan Mallett? Are you going to throw Tim Tebow at me too? Is that what we're doing? So, anyway.
Yeah, but I just want people to realize, to hear, because I'm sure you've been hearing it this week on, your favorite show or whatever. Oh, Belichick is spending this money like crazy. He's getting all these, he's overpaying for all these players, and he's doing it because, yeah, he's throwing money up in the air. He's spending all this money because Brady won a Super Bowl and he's angry. First of
Really?
all, no. First of all, the team went 7-9. You think he doesn't want to win? Like he's been consistent with that for the last 20 years. So why would you think he's because A happens, that means that B is going to happen? No. He,
Just to prove how stupid this is, okay? Let's all go back in time. Last year, August, going into the season, all of us here, what did we say? 2020 is not our year. We looked
he
ahead
said
at the
that.
salary cap,
You know,
and we all of us said it. It's on record. We all said
yep.
2021 is the year we spend. We spend big money. We get out from underneath all the dead cap and all of the big contracts that we've had, and we go in. Okay, that was before the season ever started. Before anybody knew Tom Brady was going to win a Super Bowl. None of that was even related to that. He's doing exactly what he would have done had Brady not made the playoffs. So if the Bucks didn't make the playoffs, the Patriots are still doing what they're doing. In fact, I don't see the Patriots as doing anything other than what I'm used to them doing.
Right.
And what I mean by that is we didn't go after. Listen, I would be suspicious if everybody he was going after was like big, famous, big name guys. I would think, what is happening here? What is he panicking?
Right. If it
You know,
was right,
it's like weird.
like a Kenny Galladay or all those guys who are like fantasy known
Yeah.
players.
If he's doing that, it looks like he's trying too hard to please everybody to kind of see if that will work, like trying to do what Tampa does. Okay. But he's signing guys that fit the Patriot way. And that's no different than any other year. But another thing that, if you're not a Patriot fan, you might not realize this, but we always spend up to the cap. We always spend. Okay. We're never the team that is hovering with like, 50 million in cap room every year. We're not that team. What people don't understand is that it's just we don't give a lot of money to one guy. So we'd rather have a bunch of middle tier guys than have a few great players and the rest of them all trash. Okay? So we'd rather have everybody just a very solid player. And that costs money. But you've got to spread that money out. And that's what people don't understand. What this reminds me of is when he gave all that money to Stephon Gilmore.
Right. In
And
2017.
and everyone was saying, and even I thought that was too much money for Gilmore. Apparently, Bill knows what he's looking for. With defense, I don't question Bill on defense. I don't even, if he throws $100 million at a guy on defense, I'm going to be like, okay, well, that guy's going to be all pro, apparently. So I don't even go there anymore on defense. So whatever.
When he has the room to maneuver, he spent
He does.
money. Like
Yeah.
they also that same season, 2017, they traded for Brandon Cooks. So
Yep.
And I think that was a great deal because Brandon Cooks was productive. Obviously he's more known for that Super Bowl, fail. But for that season, he was pretty productive. And Belichick has always spent on Roosevelt Colvin, Dallas Thomas, Darrell Revis. When he has the room to maneuver, he'll spend the money. But a lot of these guys, you're saying, oh, they're overrated and they're well. Jonas Smith is 25 years old. Gotcho, another guy they signed, is 27 years old. Matt Judon is 28 years old, and Jalen Mills is 26. These are all guys. They're not retreads or like Cardinals, Daisy Watt. They're not retreads. They're not.
See,
They're not.
Shaq, what the Cardinals are doing looks like panic.
Yes.
That looks like panic. Okay, so that's what panic looks like. That's what trying to buy a championship looks like. Okay, now if the Cardinals roster right now, if we were in 2014, I'd say Super Bowl baby, okay, but they still got a problem. They've got a crappy head coach. Okay, sorry, but I'm not on the Cliff Kingsbury bandwagon. Okay, I'm not on the Sean McVay and everybody who shares a urinal with Sean McVay is all of a sudden a great coach. I'm not on that. All right, and I just don't believe in that Cardinals thing. But that's a different thing. I do wish we could have got Chandler Jones back. He was one of my favorite players for the Patriots. So it's kind of a personal thing. Too expensive, but yeah.
And also, he wilts in the playoffs, so not a guy that I'm a fan of when the lights are on. And so, but he's thriving in Arizona because
Well,
they
he's
never
much
make the
older.
playoffs.
He's much
He's
older
right
now.
there.
Maybe it might be different. But also, he was being double teamed the whole time. Uh, like so, in 2014 for sure. But Addy, not buying the air raid offense with their 4'6" quarterback. No, I'm not. No, I'm not. Sorry. I like Kyler, I guess. I don't know anything about him. I don't have nothing against him. I know Milena likes him because he's little. She calls him football baby. But he's not a quarterback.
4'6".
Just, I think 4'6" is kind. I think it's probably more like 4'4". Listen, okay,
Well,
I've seen.
He's familiar with those types of quarterbacks from like Johnny Manziel and all that. Like he was pretty much that size.
Now, I've noticed a lot of people are saying, not just here tonight, but I've seen it in other places, that people are saying that Tom is motivated to go undefeated because that's the only thing he's not done. I actually don't think that is something that Tom is thinking about. If Tom has a goal, I bet it's more likely that his goal is to be MVP and Super Bowl MVP in the same year. That I think that if you ask Tom, I think he'd rather be that probably than
Because frankly, he has more control over those than 19 and
yeah
0 because 19 and 0 is a team thing. But
yeah.
not saying that those others aren't, but if you're producing as a quarterback, that's what you're judged by. And if you win those, yeah. So
To
yeah, I
be
agree.
44 and be the first person to run the table on the MVPs in the same year since Kurt Warner did it 21 years ago, 22 years ago. It will be. That's how long that anyway. That I think that would be more impressive.
And think of the symmetry. You do that by Kurt Warner, the same guy you beat in your first Super Bowl win.
Exactly. That would be.
Crazy.
That would be cool. And what if it was ironically? Oh God, what if it was ironically against New England?
Oh, well, that. Ugh.
Could you imagine that? You're talking about symmetry here. So, Addy says, sends a $5 super chat. He says, to be fair, Manziel begged the Browns to draft him. Granted, he was able to beg the Browns to draft him, but still, imagine begging a team to draft you. And yet, Addy, he is still the image, the icon of your account. That I've got to hand it to you. That's dedication, man. I'm surprised it's not Baker Mayfield, the guy
Yeah,
who
what
just
happened
got
to
you to the
Baker?
playoffs. I think Addy likes the
Dejected face.
yeah, that look, that Manziel look. It's just something about it. Uh-oh, here we go with the Doug Flutie thing again. Doug Flutie. Good
He
old
is
Doug
good
Flutie.
at drop kicks.
Lord Varsh, honestly, because of the way the MVP is voted on and the way it's done, I don't think Tom will ever qualify for an MVP ever again. I don't think they will give it to him just out of spite. You know, I just yeah, you're right. He would have to go undefeated in order to get that. So, but I do think that would be something that he would rather have. if he could pick one or the other. I think he'd pick MVP and Super Bowl MVP in the same season. That's the hat trick for that's a grand slam. Like in tennis, if a grand slam is when you win all 4 grand slams in 1 year. That's the quarterback grand slam to run the table on all quarterback awards. That's Russell Wilson's taller than Kyler Murray. Yeah, I know, Brian. I hope things are back to normal this season, where the fans are back and everybody. So
Yeah, Jake is mentioning the 2 games, Tampa versus New England, and is it? Oh, he said Carolina versus, but Tampa versus New England. We're gonna be there. Like Von Allen Sports will be there in full force, hopefully.
well, only if they allow fans. But other than that, we will be there. So
Yeah, I still think we should be there. Like if we don't go, then we should like make up go to a bar or something like that, or like a place where you can watch the game.
yeah, if Kyler Murray's 5'11", then I'm the Easter Bunny.
Right. I'm 6'1".
If Murray is 5'10", I'm the Easter Bunny.
Kyler Murray cannot be 2 inches under the knee because that's impossible.
I've seen him stand next to like short referees, and they're the same height. You know, it's he's little. He's little. Yeah, Ozymandias. I guess a Golden Slam would be better because yeah, you throw in the Olympic gold and you get it. That's true. So yeah, a perfect season added to a season MVP and a Super Bowl MVP would be the Golden Slam in tennis. That's a good equivalent. Who knows more about Tom Brady than Bill Belichick? Nobody.
Yeah,
Nobody. For 20 years, he coached and practiced against Tom. His defense is coached against Tom every day for 20 years. This
I
is
wouldn't
not
be
going to.
surprised if he has like a game plan like locked away, like break in case of emergency, like in case he had to play, like his team would play Brady somehow. And on the day when he plays Tampa, get the playbook out, and this is what we're doing.
It's not going to be an easy game for Tom, but do you know what I think Tampa's going to do? I think Tampa's going to run the ball. they're gonna come out there with a fullback and shit, and just like, and having like extra tight ends like moving the line for everybody.
Yeah,
What the hell's
that's
happening?
that's the game they play all 3 of them: Gronk, Great, and OJ Howard.
That would be funny. You got to admit that would be funny. Like this whole week, like the page is
Because
getting ready for Tom.
Yeah, you know how they would hype the week up so much. It's gonna be high scoring. It's gonna be so much, and then they run the ball. Imagine if the weather's bad, then they definitely have to run the ball.
Yeah, true. Yeah, it's true, Ozymandias, and who knows more about Bill Belichick than Tom? It goes back the same way. It's true. It's going to be interesting.
Oh, Boston Sports Talk is. Oh,
how are we feeling about Nelson Aguilar? Fine.
Fine,
Listen,
exactly.
all of the hate against him is because of that guy, that hilarious guy,
that stupid meme
in Philadelphia. And honestly, it was funny. Okay,
it was
funny.
hilarious.
I love it. I love it. but it
Yeah,
did not make me think less of Nelson Aguilar. I
right.
just thought that's a
So it's
Philadelphia
funny
fan.
because Philly
That's
fans
a
are like that,
Philadelphia fan. All that
unlike
crap going on,
Aguilar.
and all you're worried about, all you can think
Is
about in this emergency is Nelson
yes,
Aguilar
it's,
dropping
it's
a pass. It's just come on,
it's such a
really?
serious story, and you're like, unlike Aguilar. But yeah, I think a lot of that is because of the meme. But he had a pretty good season with the Raiders last year. He had, I believe, what, 8 touchdowns, and I think all of his drops, um, I think it's like in the last 3 years he's had what 12 drops. I mean, look, I love him. I love him. He's my favorite. He's one of my favorite Patriots of all time. Julian Edelman, I think he's probably had more than 12 drops in the last 2 years. So, and a lot of that has to do with injury. But I mean, Edelman, he's getting up there in age.
Well, another
So,
thing about drops is that you got to compare it to volume. So you want to look at average. How often, how much percentage of the time will he drop a ball? And it's got to be really low. It's got to be really low. The thing
yeah,
is about Aguilar is that his drops are famous now because of that meme.
right, because of the
So
meme. Yeah,
we're all looking at a drop as where if it was any other player. Let me tell you something. Back in Arizona when Anquan Bolden and Larry Fitzgerald played together, Larry Fitzgerald was known as the dropper. Can you imagine that? Larry Fitzgerald, a guy who now is known for catching anything, right?
yeah,
He was the dropper for a long time. Okay. But nobody cares now because it's just that can get corrected. Also, how do we know that whatever his dropping problems were isn't something that coaching can be fixed? I remember, let me tell you what coaching can do sometimes. I remember Tiki Barber. You remember Tiki Barber for the Giants, running back for the Giants?
yeah,
He had a fumbling problem. Tom Coughlin comes in as he got fired from Jacksonville. He comes into New York and he fixed Tiki Barber's fumbling problem just with an adjustment, coaching adjustment. And Tiki never fumbled anymore, you know? Like, I mean, I'm sure he probably did a few times, but nothing like he was doing. It fixed it like that. Whatever Nelson's problem was, maybe it gets fixed. Who knows? Maybe it wasn't a problem at all. But I do know this because of that meme, because of that guy on the news, everything Nelson does now is going to be remembered and looked at and scrutinized. He can't get out of it.
yeah.
And it's going to stick in your head as where if it was another player, you wouldn't even care. A good example is this. You guys know that game show, The Weakest Link,
Yep.
where they go around and then they vote each other off based on who did the worst in that
Yeah.
round. Almost how many times per game did somebody vote the wrong person? Because
Yeah.
and then they find out they're like, oh well, that guy had 3 misses, but you voted for the other guy who had 1 miss, and you thought he was the problem because he missed a stupid
They would,
question,
yeah, or they would
and
bank
that's
too much money,
it's
or
stuck
bank
in your head.
not enough money. Yeah,
Right.
it
But
would.
you find out technically that it was the other guy who missed 3 questions, but you didn't care about that because you thought those questions were different. This is how it works. Our judgment, what we see, what we remember, what we think about, and what is important and imprinted in our head. That is what people follow. If it's a great player, you excuse those drops. If it's a little known player, that's all you think about. Oh, that guy, all he does is drop it. With Nelson Aguilar, it's the Philadelphia incident with that guy. And now, no matter what he does, he cannot do right. It won't matter. It's going to live with him forever. So that's basically my approach on Aguilar. Compare him to other guys and see percentage wise on volume, not total. Don't look at him and say, oh, he's had 5 drops and this guy's had 10 drops. You can't do that. You've got to look at, because one guy may be getting way more targets or less targets. If one guy's got 10 drops, but he's got less targets than Aguilar, or less, that's bad. That's really bad. But if Aguilar has a lot of catches, a lot of targets, and only a few drops, that's a good deal. So you got to look at the percentage. That's
The other guy, Bourne, also, he gets a lot of criticism for drops also, but he was a third
who
down specialist for the Niners.
who
And according to reports, he puts in a lot of work and he has fun playing the game. And look, there's always room for guys who enjoy the game and have fun. Unlike what people say about the locker rooms being not being fun. And they got some fun guys in there, that's for sure, with Van Noy and a whole lot of them. So I'm
Jack?
excited. I'm excited for the season.
You know what's fun?
Fidget spinners?
No, yeah, but you know what else is fun? Winning.
Yeah.
Winning is
Right.
fun.
Yeah. What what happened to all these memes about nobody wants to go? Because you know why? Because again, when like you just said, people repeat things and they hear something, they hear what they want to hear, and then whatever they hear is what they repeat. And when you repeat something often, it's like psychology. When you repeat something often, it becomes ingrained in your memory. So remember that story about Matthew Stafford that came out that said he didn't want to play for the Patriots.
Yeah.
That's the way the story was framed at first, right?
Yep.
And so the story comes out, he doesn't want to play for the Patriots. Oh my God, Belichick is not going to be able to sign anybody because Matthew Stafford said no. So that means everybody else is going to say no too. Well, Matt Patricia's playing. Matt Patricia's
exactly.
for he's not even a coach. He's in a front office, some type of role in the front office. So he's not even probably even going to be on the field. But just because he's there,
the whole headlines was Patriots, Belichick. No, Matt did not want to be around Matt Patricia. If Matt Patricia is not going to didn't go back to the Patriots, then Matthew Stafford doesn't say that. But that doesn't sell headlines. Matt Patricia doesn't sell headlines. Okay, it doesn't sell papers. So,
and so because of that, you heard that's what you heard. Stafford doesn't want to go to the Patriots. Stafford doesn't want to go to the Patriots. But then the story, Adam Schefter adds to the story, and he says it wasn't just that he didn't want to go to the Patriots. It's that he didn't want to go to Carolina. He didn't want to go to Denver. He didn't want to go to Washington. He wanted to play for Sean McVay. And he literally texted it and said, I want to play for the Rams, like specifically. So, but again, that's what happens when you don't add context to the story. And so, but again, because that story came out, you heard that was the meme. Oh, Belichick's not going to be able to sign free agents. Then boom, here comes a free agent. Boom, 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 boom. It was like it was like an avalanche of free agents being signed, and a lot of these guys are guys who are already there, and one of them came from a Belichick disciple, and he came to play for Belichick. So there was a whole lot of memes that were thrown in the trash over the last week and a half, and I loved it. And a lot of people were saying, "Oh, Patriots are spending. They want." I guess they won the offseason. They're not going to be winning anything because the people who win the offseason usually don't win the Super Bowl. Okay, but they're not
win the
Jets.
offseason. What does that mean?
Right, they're not. I guess win the offseason means like get the most headlines because you're signing a lot of guys. I guess that's what that means.
Oh, that's cool. Is there an award for that? Is there like a who makes the award? Who sends it?
Oh, Rex Ryan gave an off-season award. It was the Snoopy Award.
Cool.
But yeah, so right, so you can't win the off-season
winner.
You won. For me, I enjoyed it. I enjoyed it because the Patriots have never gotten this opportunity to be big spenders, and even Belichick admitted it. But when he said it, it was, "Oh, you're making an excuse. You're making excuses. Your team's terrible." No, He's telling you exactly what's going on. In 2019 and the 3 years prior, they were able to, they spent a lot because Brady was there. And Brady was Brady, MVP. Amazing, right? And so they had guys that they were spending on. And so they had to pay for that, obviously. And then when Brady's gone, you have to pay for that. Antonio Brown and all those Mohamed Sanu and all those moves that they made in 2019 that they tried, but it didn't work out. And so 2020, and again, we said it in August, but again, nobody pays attention to anything. So, but that's exactly what happened. And so they had the cap space, they had the room, they had, they had all these other teams who don't have the cap space, and they have the flexibility to spend it because in 2022, when the TV deal pops in and they just finalized the TV deal, all these teams are going to be spending next year. And you think if people who think that the Patriots overpaid this year, you watch what happens next year.
Yeah.
Crazy players. And so they were able to take advantage of a whole bunch of different situations at once. But it's not there. So anybody who says that they overpaid or they did any of that stuff, don't listen to them because they don't know what they're talking about.
Regarding last year, when we were saying that Bill had come out and said that they were losing, you just mentioned it. They were losing because, and he mentioned because they went all in, and now they're in cap hell. I don't know if you remember, but my approach on that was Bill is correct. He technically was correct. Like, I agree with it. It's true. My surprise was that Bill would even say it.
Right.
That's what blew me away.
Yeah.
It wasn't that he was wrong. He was absolutely correct. It's just I was shocked that he would say that. But I think looking
the
back
reason
on it,
why he said
a
it
lot of
because
pressure.
he was talking to Charlie Weiss. So that's why he said it. That's why, and he was in a comfortable space where he's like,
he was talking to Charlie, really?
yeah,
His buddy.
that was on
All
his
right.
radio show.
I
So
didn't know that. Okay.
yeah, so it's probably a place where
So
he's
it was like it was like talking to if you were sitting in the front office, because Charlie understands what that means. And you
exactly.
start talking like me and you. If we're talking and we start talking like personally instead, and we forget kind of everything that's going on. But someone goes and prints what we said to each other, like about the Sony Michelle
Exactly.
thing. What if we were all both on ESPN, right? And we do our Sony Michelle joke, then it gets headlined that I hate Sony Michelle, when in reality it's an inside joke. That's kind of how things get taken,
Yeah.
So yeah, I can see that works. So yep, Lord
Yeah.
Var's context and nuance died sometime in the 90s.
I think another thing is a lot of these media people do not, and it's not, and it's the owners, and then it trickles down to the media. They don't like Bill Belichick because he isn't Pete Carroll. He isn't Bill Parcells, who gives you amazing press conferences every day, and just does backflips. Like, he isn't a Rex Ryan. He doesn't tell you to get a goddamn snack, right?
Right.
He's not going to do that. So the media doesn't like that. The media doesn't like that. If he gets a terrible question, he'll go, Jesus Christ. He'll just, he doesn't like, they don't like the way he treats them. And frankly, they deserve worse because, especially after the last week, they've just been absolutely terrible. And so they don't like
they
that.
deserve worse. Dude, journalists are the scum of the earth. Journalists, reporters, TV media people, the news, they are the scum of the earth. I used to think it was lawyers. All right. I used to think it was lawyers for the longest time, but no, that old saying, let's just hang all the lawyers. No, let's hang all the journalists because they suck. They are the worst. Do you know journalists cause more problems and more trouble for people? on a day-to-day basis than any other profession. Journalists and reporters in the news are more responsible for any negative things that happen to people on a day-to-day basis than any other profession. Guaranteed. And I'm not talking about just sports, I'm talking about all news, all reporting. Their lies and the way that they shape things cause more strife and issues for humanity than anything else. Anything.
It's all slanted. It's not. The news used to be. It used to be just give it to you and let you decide. Now it's all slanted in a different direction, either this way or that way. There's no middle ground. It's either you believe this or you believe that. There's no, there's no room to squeeze in a little bit of this or a little bit of that. It's you believe what I believe, and if you don't, you're an asshole.
And what's that saying that you taught me that you learned in journalism school?
Oh, if it bleeds, it leads.
Yep. That should tell you everything you need to know. Everything you need to know about journalism in general. That right there.
I wanted to be a journalist, but I don't want to now. I didn't want to then.
You're too honest.
I wouldn't make it because you have to and if you don't have an opinion, they make you have one. And I don't want to be and you can obviously tell, again, going back to sports, you can tell that they're all scripted, they're all forced to have an opinion that they might not believe, but because of whatever stipends in their contract, they have to say it. And so,
You mean like Ryan Clark? You mean like Ryan Clark and Max Kellerman saying that the Saints are better off without Drew Brees this year?
Right. I wonder, do they believe that? Do you think they believe that?
Oh, really? Oh, really? We need a picture of that grumpy cat. It says, "Oh, really?" Okay. Listen, I do know that the Patriots, that the Saints went 5-0 with Teddy Bridgewater. First of all, Teddy Bridgewater is a better quarterback than Taysom Hill and Jameis Winston. That's the first thing. Second thing, the difference is that Drew Brees was on the team. Him being there in the ear of those quarterbacks on the sideline after every possession, you have no idea how important that is, how big of a deal that is. When you become the starting quarterback, not filling in. Listen, guys can fill in for great quarterbacks during the season because you're riding that momentum. The team still believes, they know their guy's coming back. Okay? It's like Jimmy and Jacoby when they filled in for Tom. The team still played at elite level. They knew Tom was coming back. But when you become the man, when you are the guy, week in and week out, it lives and dies with you. That's a different job. It's a completely different job. It's a different thing entirely. And neither one of those guys on the Saints is prepared to do that. I think Jameis will throw the ball around. I think he'll get some stats. He'll get some bulk stats like he did in Tampa Bay. He won't have as many picks probably. But to say that the Saints are better off than they were just now Super Bowl contenders. Okay? Just 2 months ago, okay? A mere 2 months ago, they had annihilated the Super Bowl champions twice in the regular season. Not just beat them, destroyed them. They embarrassed Tom Brady in the Bucs twice. Going into that game against the Bucs, that divisional game against the Bucs, everyone thought the Saints were going to be the representative of the NFC. So all of a sudden, people think that you're going to go from that expectation and you're going to be better than that. So you're saying that Jameis Winston and Taysom Hill is going to take you to the NFC Championship game? Because that's better than what Drew Brees gave you. Come on, man.
They must think that Taysom Hill is remember Cordell Stewart? They must think like he's some slash quarterback type of guy who can, line up at wide receiver and do all these crazy, exotic gadget plays, and that warrants that type of a paycheck. I don't know.
Stupidity, man. It's stupidity. Listen, Max Kellerman, he had to give it up on Tom, so now he's jumping on trashing Brees. That's what he's doing. These guys, they don't like pocket passers. They don't. Next year, he'll be trashing Roethlisberger or somebody. It's just he'll always be trashing those type of guys. It's just how they are. So you can tell we haven't had a show in a month. I've only been on for 3 hours, and my voice I'm already losing my voice. Like during the season, I can go for hours and I'm fine. But yeah, I do agree, Ozymandias, that Winston having laser surgery, that is a big deal. Okay, because I've being a person who doesn't wear or needed glasses, I had laser surgery done early in my youth when I was 20, 21, and they warned me that my eyes might change and it won't settle in, and that's exactly what happened. My eyes changed in my mid-20s, and I need glasses again, and that's what happened with Jameis, I think. But he wasn't old enough to have the surgery. But being a quarterback and not being able to see, when you have bad vision, you can see people, but they start to blur together with another person. It's very odd. It's a very odd. If you've never needed glasses, you probably don't know what that's like, but it is a big deal. So it could help them out. I mean, it definitely will make them see better. But a lot of interceptions are decision making. Anyway, so if he's going to make a stupid decision.
Oh, Ozymandias makes a great point when he says, jealous wannabe. Wannabe movie actor? No. TV actor? No. So journalism. Somebody else. Do you know that stupid, idiotic show, Good Morning Football?
Yeah.
With the Kyle Brandt. Isn't he the actor?
Got that hot
or
girl who had a nose job.
Yeah, Kay Adams.
She went from a 7 to a 9 with a nose job. So yeah.
From Ernie to a Bert.
So yeah. Although I like big noses. Remember?
Huh?
Remember
What?
that? I said
What?
It was one night in a Legion chat. I said I like girls with big noses.
Oh,
You remember that?
Yeah.
And Jared and Redcoat just took off with it. They keep going with that one. So anyway, but what about it? Kyle Brandt? What about it?
Kyle Brandt. He tweeted the other day that he thinks Mitchell Trubisky will be better than Cam Newton. Mitchell Trubisky.
Isn't he the backup for Josh Allen?
Backup for Josh Allen.
How would that doesn't make sense?
That's what he tweeted.
Well, I guess no stats. At least he's got like no stats. Maybe he throws one pass, and if he completes it, he's got a perfect quarterback rating, right?
Right. As bad as Cam Newton was last season, you can't be worse than Mitchell Trubisky. So, I mean, but that just goes to show you. And by the way, do you know that some NFL coaches say that Good Morning Football is their favorite show? That should tell you everything you need to know about NFL and the NFL and the head coaches and their, the status of this league. If they like that show with those types of takes, terrible.
One thing that you're going to see in this on Monday, see the Brady versus Rodgers, is I go on a rant about the coaches in the NFL, and I target the Sean McVay coaching connection. Okay, it irks me so badly. But if that's what you think, then you're going to like it. So.
I hate
Yeah,
that. I love
a lot of
Sean McVay.
a lot of the people who work for ESPN, they actually wanted to be journalists on CNN and stuff like that, and they couldn't get on there, so they took a job doing sports, and they pretend
Well,
that they know what they're talking about.
It's
but they
funny because some of the journalists who were formerly of ESPN are on CNN now.
or they go backwards. Yeah, I know that.
I saw Jameel Hill on CNN the other day. I was
Remember
like,
Will Kane?
yeah,
Remember Will Kane beating down Max Kellerman every week? So Max Kellerman got Will Kane fired from ESPN, and now Will Kane works for Fox News. So Will Kane probably got a pay raise.
right. Yeah, well, yeah, because ESPN can't
So
afford that.
so that kind of backfired on Max Kellerman, I guess, if he was trying to like screw Will Kane up. So, but I would rather work for ESPN than I guess not ESPN. I would rather work for ESPN doing sports than working for CNN or Fox News doing politics. I would rather talk about sports, even if I don't make as
Yeah.
much. I don't need my blood pressure can't handle. I've checked out on politics. I'm checked out. Like
You don't want to watch
I'm
FS1? You don't want to
I'm
work
done.
at FS1?
So, huh?
I said you
Oh,
don't want to work at
yeah.
FS1?
Well, sure, of course. But
That's
anything,
the show.
yeah.
That's the channel with Skip Bayless and Jason Whitlock and all the greats.
I would love to sit opposite of that idiot, Nick Wright. But with the understanding though, the only way I'm allowed to say whatever I want to say. So I am allowed to go after him every single day. Not this friendly bullcrap where I have to pretend to be his friend like they do on all the other shows. No. I literally just get to do what I want to do, as if we're competitors. And I think that's what they should do. You want to see good TV? Put two guys together that don't like each other. Don't let them become friends. Keep them separated. That's what you should do. That's good TV. These guys bond too much. They
Right,
have
because
they have too much camaraderie.
they
It's
wouldn't be
fake.
faking it. Yeah.
Yeah. Like when Max and Stephen A go after each other, dude, they're having dinner later. I mean,
Yeah.
they know each other's families and stuff.
You probably forget about what
No,
they said.
yeah, no, get two guys who really don't like each other, and that's when you get fireworks. Put me opposite of Nick Wright. I'll be busting him up all day long. They'll fire me.
Look at the noses.
I think that's what happened to Chris Carter. Chris Carter didn't like Nick Wright. You could tell he didn't like him. I think honestly, I think Chris Carter thought that this guy wasn't qualified to be on a show with him. I think Chris probably
Right.
felt like, why is this guy here? Like, why didn't we get someone more known? And I have another question. Why in the hell does Deion Sanders not have his own show? Could someone explain that to me? How no one has thrown 5 million, 10 million, whatever it is a year at Deion Sanders and gave him like a full hour show.
Yeah. But Shannon
What the
Sharp has
hell?
2 shows.
Come on, man. Really? You're giving Stephen A. Smith 10 million, and granted, Stephen A. they run him ragged. Okay, I respect him for that. The guy works all day long. They even have him covering stuff he doesn't even know anything about. All right, and he's trying his best. But Deion Sanders is must see TV. Anytime I see Deion on a show, I click. I don't care what it is. If I see Deion, I click because I care about what he says. I care about what he has to say, and he always says
Seems
the
like
truth.
and he seems like he cares about what he says too, which is rare.
It's just shocking that no one ever tried to go after him, like that in that way. So, because he did work for the NFL Network, but you could tell they held him back. Anytime he started saying something against what they didn't like.
Yeah.
I remember one time he defended Julian Edelman, and he said that people
Right. About the
weren't
white.
giving they weren't giving Julian respect because he's white, and they all cringed like, oh my god, Dion, you can't do that. It's and Dion thinks like us, dude. Like he thinks about the Hall of Fame. He thinks it's ridiculous. You know, he's got a good mind for how things are. So okay, Jake Saunders, I agree. A show with Deion Sanders and James Harrison, that would be fun.
Oh, that would be awesome.
I would love that. That would be awesome. With Joy, well, Joy Taylor, I like Joy. Just don't not Molly, please God, not Molly.
Ugh.
I know a lot of people like Colin Coward. A lot of people seem to be a fan of his, and but my problem with Skip and Shannon also is that it's the same topics every day. I mean, you can only say so much about LeBron James and Tom Brady and the Cowboys, right? I mean,
Right. They seem to talk about LeBron and like a lot.
I like hearing about Brady and stuff, but the way Skip talks about Brady makes us look like crazy fans because people think that we think the way Skip thinks. You know,
No.
it's just stupid. So, one last thing before we sign off here. What do you think about the Deshaun Watson situation? You think he's guilty?
I don't know. It just it. I I mean, all with all these issues, it seems like again. I think I said it earlier. It seems like whenever a celebrity, is about to secure a bag or get a big deal or get a new job or a new gig or something is about to happen that's different or that's changing in their life, that's when an accusation comes along. You know, that's when something else comes along. So it just seems like with all these celebrities, and I'm not saying he did it or didn't, but it just seems weird. And then that the lawyer's statement just was really odd with the rambling. So I don't know. I can't say if he did or didn't, but I just think that it's just odd the way these stories seem like they're all the same, and
Yeah,
now more women are coming out. I don't know. It just looks really weird to me. I feel iffy about the whole thing just because it just seems like the song for everything we've heard about him in the like before this, like
it doesn't make
we've
sense.
heard. Yeah, like somebody like a Ben Roethlisberger, who the stories came out and and
Rapeless burger.
kinda knew, yeah, we kind of knew like, oh, he seems like a piece of shit, and
Yeah.
there you go. But Deshaun Watson, we've heard nothing of the sort. So I don't know. It just seems like they really have come out of nowhere.
Well, I think for me, I stand in the same area I stood with Antonio Brown.
Yeah,
I'll believe it when it's been proven. Okay. And I don't trust. Listen, men with money are the number one target in this country, in America, when it comes to things like this. They're easy targets. It's easy to do that. It's easy to say these things, and everybody will jump on it. If it's true, then he's going to have to pay, and that's whatever. Okay. It's not like he raped these women or something. I mean, I don't know. It's weird, but it seems to be way too, it just seems ridiculous. It's like people are lining up like, oh, I was within a stone's throw. Oh, Deshaun Watson made eye contact with me one time. I want to sue too. That's what it seems like. But I do recommend, and what I recommended for Antonio Brown to all other players, for the love of God, guys, don't be alone with women that you
yeah,
don't know
period.
very well. If
Yeah,
you've got a massage therapist who's female, have a secretary with you, have an assistant with you, a friend, I don't care who it is. Have a witness. Do not be
and
naked with a woman that you don't know. Okay?
and And always record. Always have footage of where you are and what you're doing. Take pictures, especially if you're a celebrity. Have something so that when somebody tries to come for you or come after you, say, look, I was doing this. Here's the picture. Look, I was doing that. So that you can nip it in the bud. Because, if you're in a situation like Deshaun Watson is, like, all he can do is deny it. All he has nothing
And
really to say. Look, I didn't do, all he can do is deny it. And that sucks, but
but there's something else though that doesn't make sense. And this was very similar to Antonio Brown's situation. The first one, the original accusation, the girl said that she had so much anxiety from it that she almost blacked out. That was a year ago.
yeah.
Dude, that was a year ago. And I'm sorry, but if I'm a chick and something like that messed me up so badly, I'm telling the police.
I run to the police.
I'm not thinking about a year later. I'll sit on it for a year later, think about it, and then go to a lawyer, a sleazebag lawyer. Dude, that right there, number one, makes me think bullcrap.
Yep.
Sorry, but that writes it off right there. Okay.
Yep.
But these guys got to be smarter and not put themselves in this situation.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Don't allow these things to look legitimate. Okay. Because now it's a he said, she said kind of thing. It's just those two
Right.
in a room. He's naked. Did he do that or did he not do it? Is she telling the truth or is she not? And
now the only two who know are you and her.
Right.
And
we're in this world now of believe women.
What society? What is society going to believe? Exactly.
Yeah. The poor old little masseuse girl or the big rich
big
quarterback.
football player.
Come on. I mean, don't put yourself in that position. Stop it. Stop being so stupid. Don't allow anybody to accuse you of anything. Don't be alone with other people's children. Don't be alone with women that you're not related to or you're not, very well, and especially without your clothes. That's just idiocy right there. You're just asking for a problem, even if you didn't do anything. It just infuriates me that these guys they make themselves targets by being very, very absent-minded, and just stop. Listen, this is another reason why I think it's stupid. Do people understand that Deshaun Watson is not some ugly guy, right?
Right.
So even if Deshaun Watson wasn't a millionaire quarterback, he could still go out a night on the town and probably hook up with a nice girl. If he was just a regular dude, okay? But he's not just that. He's worth what, 100 million now. He's the quarterback of an NFL franchise. He's one of the most famous quarterbacks in America.
One of the top 10 in the league right now, I would say.
So we're supposed to believe that for Deshaun Watson to get his kicks, he's got to hire random massage therapists and come on to them. When I know that he could go to any nightclub and hook up with the hottest girl there and take her home for free. You think you want me to believe that? Am I also supposed to believe that if Deshaun Watson was that hard up, that he couldn't just get the best hooker money could buy, where it's confidential, I'm assuming, and no one would even think much of it? I mean, that's just an extreme, but I'm just saying, though, there are a million other options that Deshaun has for himself. What he's being accused of seems like the most ridiculous thing that he would do.
You want me to read the statement from the lawyer?
Yes, please.
Okay, bear with me because, again, it rambles. I am extremely proud to represent those who have no perceived power against those who have perceived power. Things are changing in this country, in this great state, and in this great city. And I feel like it's for the better, for all of us. Today, we filed suit against Deshaun Watson. Too many times, women have put up with behavior that we all know no one should put up with. Should we make excuses for the famous, or those who hold special positions, or quarterbacks on a local professional football team? I don't think so. All people are equal, and all deserve dignity and respect. My dad was a butcher. My mother drove my school bus and worked in the snack bar. Knowing what I know now, my mama had more dignity in her pinky finger than most executives or coaches or politicians or famous athletes have in their whole bodies. This case we just filed against Watson isn't about money. It's about dignity and stopping behavior that should be stopped. Now, stay tuned for details. Let me say this. I'm a Marine. I'm not easily intimidated. If you have info or have been part of this, contact my office, txattorneys.com.
Okay, I can blow that up real fast. If it's not about money and it's about dignity, then convert it from a civil suit to a criminal suit. Press charges.
Well, I
File
didn't even
charges.
know it was
File charges,
a criminal suit.
but no civil. Okay. Therefore, he would get in legal trouble. He'd get actually in real trouble. There'd be no money, but you'd have your dignity. He just said that, right? It's about money. I mean, it's not about money. It's about dignity. So that we can fix that right now. Kick out the civil suit, file criminal charges. There you go.
I want to know, what does your dad being a butcher and your mother driving a school bus have to do with you suing Deshaun Watson? What does that have to do with anything?
I have no idea. I guess. I mean, it sounded. I don't know. I'm a man. I'm 40.
40, yes.
Oh shit, I'm 40 now. Wow. I remember when he said that. I was like, wow, that's a long way
Gundy,
away.
Mike Gundy.
Addy,
Yeah.
I'm a man. I'm 40. Come at me.
Yeah.
Yeah, this guy is ridiculous, dude. He sounds like an ambulance chaser, honestly.
Right. Do you want this guy defending you as if you were a victim? I wouldn't want this guy defending me. This is guy. He seems like he would flail out of if he was called, anything. But that's just me reading a statement. But
Shaq, if a woman is violated in some way and she takes the money as a payoff, that's not very dignified, is it?
no.
So where's the dignity in that? The dignity would be him getting in trouble and going to jail or whatever, right? But taking a payoff instead of him being punished, where's the dignity in that? If someone had murdered my family member and I take the payoff instead of pressing criminal charges and moving forward with that, where's the dignity in that?
It looks even fishier that you're taking money from.
I'm just saying that this is ridiculous. When anyone who says it's not about the money, it's always about the money. Actually, it's always about the money. So
It's
I can't
all
believe
about
lawyers.
money.
I can't believe lawyers still say stuff like this. It's shocking, actually. Like, wow, you still use that line? It's not about the money. It's about dignity.
It's all about the money, as Vince McMahon used to say.
Thank you, Brian. I appreciate you, man. All right, well, we've been on for 3.5 hours. I think this has been a good show back, a good first show back. I really like it.
Yeah.
Like I said, on Monday we have that documentary coming out, and I'm going to post, and we're going to decide when we do the membership group stuff and start deciding on some membership things that we're going to do this year, as far as the meetups and different programs and things. But for now, I'm going to sign off. Shaq, thank you for coming on. I want to thank Chad as well for coming on at the beginning of the program. Thank you all for being here tonight. I appreciate you guys so much. Thank you for your super chats, and thank you. I don't know if she's still watching, but Mrs. Barnhill, thank you for coming on. I appreciate that. That was really nice to see. And we'll talk to you guys soon. All right. Have a good night. Bye.
Right.